I don't have a koozie. That is not good. Give me 30 seconds, folks.
Yep. No
Okay.
worries.
Dun, 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 dun.
And welcome back to episode 79 of the Unpaid and Underrated Podcast, a podcast by crew for crew. I'm one of your hosts, Big Keith, and I'm joined by my good friend, Big Joey,
Hi.
and our special guest this week, Big Chris.
Hello. Ahoy.
Now, Chris, I just saw you had a can in your hand. What is that this week, buddy? What you drinking?
This is my usual. It's a Spindrift grapefruit.
Nice. You like the grapefruit? I always found grapefruit as a whole a little too tart, but
I agree. I don't like grapefruit actually, but I like these.
so it's your usual that you don't like. So you're like a self-loathing, self-sabotaging man.
Yeah.
He doesn't like. Wow, I can relate because
I would not eat grapefruit, but I would drink this.
makes sense.
I used to have a roommate that used to eat grapefruit, and I got to tell you, the sounds that grapefruit makes, I think it's the reason I can never eat it, because it just sounds like this weird, gross, fleshy. It sounds like something that Cardi B sang about in rap, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just disgusting. And I was just, I'm like, I'm not interested in that. I haven't eaten grapefruit ever since, actually.
Yeah, we'll leave all the grapefruit to Kai Green.
Yeah.
Kai Green, sure. I know.
Okay, so there was a bodybuilder. There's a bodybuilder that like made a comment about how he used to have have sex with a grapefruit, and it was just a thing. Like I don't know.
No. So that is a legitimate thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I won't get too into feature, but it does require a partner, and you just cut a circular ring of grapefruit and then have the partner perform things with the grapefruit.
Yeah.
And apparently it's like the greatest thing in the world, except for the fact that now you're smelling and hearing grapefruit.
Oh, big Chris's reaction to us talking about this was kind of classic.
Yeah. Well,
so,
welcome to the episode, guys.
It seems dangerous. Like you could get that in your eye.
That would not be
yeah,
pleasant.
my eye is what I'm worried about.
Yeah, well, the other eye, that would hurt.
Yeah.
It's like getting soap in it.
It's called a urethra. That's what we call it up here in Canada. I don't know what you guys have with your imperial system.
Catheter holder.
I should have saw that coming.
What about you, Joe? What are you drinking tonight? You said you didn't have a koozies, but I'm assuming you still had a cola or something.
I got nothing fancy. I got some Keats. I got some cola flavored sparkling water, and I've got
I really need
a strong IPA.
I do need to try that bland or the cola flavored sparkling water of some sort. I just need to find one locally if I can. It sounds intriguing enough to maybe wean me off Diet Coke. So we'll see.
What IPA do you have?
Two technically. So Keith's is technically an IPA, but it drinks more like a lager. Look what's on my head. And the IPA I have is the Juicy Ass by Flying Monkeys out of Barrie,
cool.
Ontario.
Cool.
It's very, very citrusy, very easy drinking, but it's like 7%, and I'll probably have that right when we're getting ready to go off, so I can go to bed.
Mm-hmm. I don't have to work tomorrow, and I don't really have anything planned till 9:00, so I'm indulging in some really hard booze tonight. I got my Michelob Ultras. Got 3 of those lined up, ready to have a good time.
I also don't work tomorrow. I also am on a deload. Tomorrow is the Apple launch. So for all of you Apple nerds out there, and if you guys know what I do a lot of work with Apple, but I refuse to work on Apple launch day because it brings out the worst in people. And, my bosses are all like, it's a big sales day. We're going to make tons of sales. Everybody's going to be there asking about the new phone. And as the person who has worked on the floor for the last 10 years, I will tell you, no, we are not. No, you will not. No, they will not. It will be a terrible day all around. I'm not going in.
Well, it's not a bad idea.
I see. Are you even wearing a Massonomics shirt this week?
I'm a Massonomics adjacent, wearing a big Grant strength coach shirt.
Nice.
Actually, I got this from them at the Arnold when they were giving away 200 shirts or something on Friday morning to the first X amount of people that showed up. So
damn it,
that was pretty cool. That was right when I met Grant and got a free shirt and a good picture with him and all that jazz.
I got a flag and a freaking great deal on plates, but I did not get a shirt. But that's okay because they were running this competition, and it was like, if you can do 600 pounds for reps, you get a free shirt. And I was like, I can't do that for a single, so I don't need your shirt. And then I still got a good flag.
So if I pull 405, would you give me a crop top?
I'd wear a crop top. I think I have one.
Like this, the math on it was, I thought it was funny, but I guess not.
No, I don't do math. That's up for our future guest, Big Matt.
Never heard.
Big Chris, what are you wearing, buddy?
I'm wearing my Lift Hard, Lift Easy that I got at the meet.
That's a popular one on here.
I know. I thought about wearing the high bar or something else. Something I like the buffalo one. I can't remember that white shirt, but I couldn't find it this morning. But I wanted to represent, the hills a little bit more, but I couldn't find it this morning. So it's this one.
That's the Raw Power, right? The red one?
No, it's the marijuana one.
Well, that's the high bar.
High bar.
No, well, there's high bar and there's the white one that, God, I own it. So I know I have it.
Welcome to our new segment. Chris Poorly Explains Massonomics t-shirts.
I know. It's at High Times. Is that what it is? I can't remember what it says. Even I talked to Tanner about it. He's like, oh, I love that shirt. We didn't, they were talking about
okay. That must be before my time.
Yeah, it must be an older one, I guess, because I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to get a photo of it and send it to you when I find that shirt.
Yeah, we'll repost it to the AIG.
Is the shirt in the room with you right now?
No.
Because
I'm actually at work. I just stayed. It's only 6:30 here, so I just stayed late for work and did it on my office because I have kids and dogs and cats at home that'll be loud. I figured this would be way easier.
Doing the podcast on company Wi-Fi, that's the spirit.
Oh yeah.
That's actually funny because I wanted to talk about Oliver Anthony, and that actually is right up his alley. Yeah, I just wanted to throw it in there because I know that there was a lot of chat about him in the in the Discord, and then we even posted some memes and stuff about him. But he kind of once that song kind of blew up, he kind of fell off a little. But I just wanted to point out that once he found out that people were charging $95 to see him, he immediately refused to play any shows that charged more than $25.
Yep. So I saw that.
He stepped in and said, you cannot pay more than $25 to see me. And I just think that was dope. I just wanted to bring that up just as a follow-up to like.
It's interesting because it's like, well, is he a socialist or is he, because he's obviously getting paid a flat rate and the venue's like charging as much as they can. So like, I'm pro that like reducing ticket prices, and this whole Ticketmaster deal in the US is a mess. So I'm pro it, but yeah.
Well, I'm not going to get that too involved in who he is or what he does, but for a guy out there talking about how like we're all getting screwed by people making way more money than us, he was just like, well, I'm going to literally put an end to that. Like I'm going to stand in between that.
Yeah.
And like that's just big ups. Like I've just been following him for a little bit, and I know he got talked about on this podcast, the sister podcast, and that was really cool of him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I've never listened to a Joe Rogan episode. I think I've listened to one Joe Rogan episode before, and it was Louis Simmons, like years ago. I don't think it's live because Louis said a bunch of fucked up shit that he shouldn't have said, and like you can't even find the episode. But I went out of my way when I saw he was going to be that Oliver Anthony was on Joe Rogan that I downloaded that, and it was annoying because I had to go to Spotify because he's like Spotify exclusive and all that. So I don't like listening to podcasts on Spotify, and well, at least I couldn't find it anywhere else. But nonetheless, I followed up, listened to that and really enjoyed it in general. Just listen to his whole story. But I think I did see the thing that you were talking about where he like was all pissed off that they were charging like X amount of dollars for his tickets, and I think he ended up still having to do that show because he was like, on contract and honor bound. But he made a point to like going forward like $40 max or something like that. So that was cool.
That's funny. Kurt Angle was on last week because Big Steve keeps messaging me about when there's wrestlers on Joe Rogan, and I just don't have Spotify. I have no patience for podcasts in general, so I just don't listen to Joe Rogan. But like he keeps sending me all these people, and I'm like, damn it, like I kind of want to listen to that, but like who's got the time?
Rogan's are always like 3 hours or more, I think, too. Which I mean, we're starting to creep up on that ourselves.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't have much of a leg to stand on in that argument.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. It's like, yeah, 3 hours. I'll show you.
Not a good pitch for your show.
Which one? That I have no patience for podcasts.
Oh yeah, that and like you're creeping up on. They've been getting longer and longer.
Yeah. Don't follow me on Instagram. And then people are like, I agree. And then they follow me on Instagram. I'm like, don't do that.
I at least feel like we haven't been forced, and I'm like, I don't feel like we're just like, you know, killing time to say we had a 2.5 hour episode. It's just like, fuck, like we cut the last one short because I had to get to bed and I had fucking people in the room. Like, so it's like if we could, that could have been a 3 hour episode with Steve because we could have just kept like going into shit.
I could have went on about breakfast for hours.
Yeah.
I love breakfast foods. And yeah, like we're not forcing it or anything, but we're essentially recreating the Discord.
Yeah.
But putting it into a podcast form for the Discord to listen to. And it's just like just pulling strings and focusing on, go hardlined on shit that people don't actually matter, right? Like stuff that doesn't matter. So, I'm wearing the Huge Life shirt. I should have brought that up earlier.
It's a good one. Now, that one being a medium still probably fits you really good because the Huge Life is one of the larger, at least my Huge Life fits bigger than what it normally would, I guess.
It's doing its job right now. I'm not uncomfortable.
That t-shirt I was talking about is the High Plains.
Okay.
I remember
that.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that.
It shows Mount Rushmore on it.
Yeah.
Small Buffalo.
Is it actually Rushmore, or is it like, did they put their spin on who was on the faces on it?
I think it's actually Rushmore.
Okay.
Lazy Massonomics. Couldn't have even put powerlifters on that. These guys, I'm telling you.
Well, I feel like if there was a Mount Rushmore crew, I think the guys with tattoos might have to at least be in the running on that. So we did get a new inductee to the Massonomics crew tattoo holder club. We're not sure who it is yet. By the time you're listening to this episode, it might be public knowledge. I have a feeling, just a guess, but last night, whoever was supposed to be on the Massonomics podcast had to cancel kind of last minute. So the boys just kind of pulled an audible and had a special guest on and kicked us off the Discord and didn't tell us who it was. And I could be completely off base, but I do have an inkling it might be whoever got a tattoo, just because Tanner kept saying it's someone who's really well known, but not well known for being a crew. So it's just like, I don't know. So it seems like it could be someone that's like somewhat famous, but just not necessarily like active in the Discord. But very curious to see that.
Yeah, he did say it was somebody who was crew, but not active crew, right? So probably Dan Bell. Like,
yeah, I was thinking Bell or Oldham because Oldham's neither of them really ever posted much, if anything. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be fun. I welcome them into the crew. That's four. That's four people.
Now, is it the Tat crew?
The Tad crew?
Tat crew. It sounded like it was gonna roll off my tongue better than when I don't know. It kind of was a swing and a miss again.
We're the Wolf Pack. We'll be the Wolf Pack.
A lot of Wolf Pack talk. A lot of wolf talk the last few weeks. I feel like I'm at the gas station 24/7 listening to the episode.
You got to be gas station ready.
I love that you brought that up in that episode, talking about truck stops. And like, to me, I've lived in South Dakota for a while now, and I never thought anything of it. And like, when you brought that, this is insane. This is insane that they're selling swords and like porn. Like, truck stops are weird places.
They're and then they're in the middle of nowhere. First time I've ever seen a sand crane was at this random truck stop. And I look over, I was like, hey, those are some small deer. And like, no, they're giant birds. And actually, I think our favorite one, my favorite one was in South Dakota or Minnesota. And it was a full-on truck stop with like showers and a gym and like a pool table.
Oh, wow. I've seen a gym.
Yeah, you're like, really? And like, it's all pay per use, obviously. But like, you forget how much trucking gets done, I guess, along the plains. Because I live in a city and we either train everything or fly everything here. So wolves and $2 energy drinks that I pay $5 for up here. Like, it was crazy.
The one here in town has a bar and has bands.
A bar and a band's at a truck stop.
That's
yeah, like they have
crazy.
bars, they have bands every weekend. Like it's wild.
Okay, so have you ever seen then, Keith? We're gonna get back to the movie talk. Roadhouse.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought you
okay.
were gonna go with I thought you were gonna go Maximum Overdrive because that has like a very hardcore like truck stop. It's got like everything in it.
Well, I figured that's actually what Roadhouse was. That was like a truck stop bar, right?
Yeah.
With the bands behind the fence and stuff like that.
That's a classic.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, I can think they're remaking it with your buddy The Rock. No, sorry. It was supposed to be The Rock, but now it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
They're remaking it.
I think like 10 years ago, like
Uh,
5 or 10 years ago, they were talking about doing it with The Rock. But
Oh,
I think they've actively already filmed or are filming a Jake Gyllenhaal as Patrick Swayze. Don't quote me on that, but I'm like 90% sure that's accurate.
they don't need to do that.
yeah, you don't need to do that. Roadhouse is fine the way it is.
Yeah, I'm a big Swayze fan.
I'm not a big Swayze fan, but I'm a big Roadhouse fan. Big Jeff Healey fan.
Pain don't hurt.
I like that. I do like that line. I like that line a lot.
So in a rare like occasion, I've actually got a few things here in the general that like we almost never talk about. And I almost never do this because you brought up The Rock already. So The Rock returned to SmackDown last week.
I saw that on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, and it had the most independent views of any of their videos.
Oh wow.
103 million people watched that replay on YouTube.
That's ridiculous. That's astonishingly large amount of numbers.
Yeah, so there is a chance The Rock is probably going to headline at WrestleMania 39. He might come in, go after Roman Reigns. I like to bring up wrestling talk every once in a while because there's like an 88% chance that who we're talking to is a wrestling fan. So,
or at least was at one point in their life.
Yeah. But then I also have plates. Just the word plates.
I saw that. I was like, I'm thinking he's trying to say the Strength Co bumpers, or maybe he's talking about a new kitchen plate. Like, I don't know what he's got.
No. This one's here. This one's out here just that was to create the illusion and to have you guys guessing. This actually comes from our good friend Corn Fedward.
Okay.
Cornfetti.
Big Eddie W.
Yeah. Plates in or out, guys. When you are lifting with steel plates, are they facing towards you or are they facing out? And Eddie wants a hard opinion on this.
I have a very strong opinion. I load my plates competition style, so first plate in, all other plates out. Anything else is wrong.
From day one, all in.
That's what I was years ago, but yeah, once I started competing,
I don't know if I could change now. I don't think I could change.
Okay, so I don't have a lot of steel plates. I only have the hundreds and one set of 45s. And all in, always all in. I think it never occurred to me to even think about it. I don't, and to see Eddie be like, does anybody have like a hard opinion on this? And I was just like, how do you have a hard opinion on the way you're like, weight is weight? But then I realized I make sure every time plates in.
Nice.
So like I don't have like a hard opinion. And I think if I walked up to the bar and they were facing the wrong way, I don't think I'd have like a panic attack or something like that. But I just wanted to get you guys thoughts on that. Now competition stuff.
Yeah, I think as long as you do it the same way, I'm okay with you as a person. Like if you like put one in and one out and like every other day or something, like I'm talking left side in, right side out.
That would give me a panic attack if I saw that, I think.
Yeah.
And that's so weird. But at the same time, like I wonder, would I care? Like if I walked up and like because I have the Strength Co plates and then I have some neoprene plates. And like, would I genuinely care if those neoprene plates were like floating in the middle because I accidentally turned them outwards? But I can't see that. I can't see that.
No.
But when I put them on, I would notice. That's really funny that like people have opinions on that.
So I have a bigger opinion about. So like I'm very stern in my. I personally like just loading them like competition. It's just like a tick. What I have a bigger opinion about and what I will judge you for is if you put the plates on the plate tree face in. Like if you, because I have like literal thousands of weights. So I've got like, 70 some pairs of 45 or, 50 pairs of 45s, whatever. Like people that always put the plates in, it makes it that much harder to get the plates off the plate tree. So that I always I have a rule about that. Like just put the, the dumbbells get re-racked a certain way, and all the plates get racked face out. Because if not, it's a safety hazard. Because if I go to like grab a plate and it's got the fucking flat side, not the lip, and it's very yeah.
That's really fun. I my hundreds face out, but my 45s are face in because I put my 45s at about core level. So I just grab them full and just pull. Like I don't use the lip for any reason. I'm doing a full like handle. So I don't care. But the hundreds, I do have to hold by the lip. So I have them on the bottom of the plate tree. So they have to face out. But I'd never even thought about it. That's so fun that people care that much about that kind of stuff.
To me, it's just easier. Like whatever is easier, faster, and safer.
Yeah.
And then once I find what works, that has to be implemented throughout the entire gym. So at the commercial gym, the last few weeks, having to grab plates of well, like mismatched plates too. Like that's what like this commercial gym. They have tons of plates, but they have like 5,000 pounds of this brand, 5,000 pounds of that brand, 5,000. Everything's just intermingled. So like it takes a while. I have to keep walking from plate tree to or like one side of this because they have like a big rogue like CrossFit kind of rack thing with like thousands of pounds on it. So with like 4 different pairs of 45 styles and change plates, you have to kind of like pick through to get because I want all my plates to be the same brand. So it takes a while to kind of get enough weight to actually match. So it's a little tedious at times. But yeah, I'm curious. Did Big Eddie share his opinion on it? Because I could see him not caring.
I did not. He simply just asked the question. And I was just like, well, I'm throwing that out there because he asked if there was a podcast where people legitimately cared about it. And I was like, well, we could be that podcast.
Nice.
But I wonder if he's even listening. If you are, Eddie, shoot me a message and let me know. But yeah, that's my plate talk. The Strength Co did release bumpers, but like as somebody who doesn't do anything involving bumpers, I have zero opinion on it.
The cool thing about those are there's not a whole lot of American-made bumpers, if any, that I know of. Like everyone gets the same rubber hex dumbbells from the same plant, like the same 2 or 3 plants in China, and just like white labels them. Same thing with bumpers. Like bumpers are not well known for being American-made because they're so expensive and toxic to make, basically, because so they have to do them where there's less EPA guidelines and shit over there. But I'm sure I didn't do any research or like how Grant got them made or what they're made of, but it's still pretty cool that they're made in America.
Are they super wide or anything? Are they thinner? Like I could see getting bumpers for deadlifting just to be quiet in the house.
Yeah, they didn't look thin. I mean, they looked I wouldn't say they looked bigger than like a standard like entry level rogue bumper.
I think he said the 45s were like 3.6 inches.
No, yeah, because there was because when he posted that, I put the emoji of scans and then the one with the holding up the 2 fingers to indicate a small wang. So that was pretty funny. Speaking of funny, everyone likes to judge my opinion on shows and movies. So fuck all you guys that have a super hard opinion and get butthurt about my opinion of things. Because
I don't think we're the butthurt ones.
No, everyone's judging my opinion. And
yeah, but you sound angrier than most of us.
Well, I'm just defending that I'm allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion too.
Yep.
But I just wanted to recommend a show to people and just kind of give you a little glimpse of like what I think is hysterical. The show on Netflix called Sex Education. Like I think the 4th season just dropped today. I actually watched like 3 or 4 episodes of it when I got home because I was just kind of killing time. So that's the kind of shit I find funny. I like I don't know. I just like coming of age stuff and sex comedies and like I don't do drugs or anything like that anymore, but it's just like shit like that I find funny. I don't find someone pretending to have a mental disability to be funny. Like I just never have. Like I don't find that kind of stupid where it's like borderline mocking mental retardation. Like I don't find that amusing.
Oh, but somebody like me who has who's neurospicy pretending to be normal. Yeah, you're tuning in for that, aren't you? Okay, so
I'm here for it all.
I'll watch Sex Education if you watch Auntie Donna. 1 episode each.
All right, remind me of that. Do that in that text because that's like I know you mentioned that like 3 times and I keep forgetting the name of it.
Yep. Auntie Donna.
My buddy Big Chris that I work out with on Sundays, who's also big Chris Mark in the Discord. He recommended one of those. What's like the really popular anime where like these big creatures Attack on Titan, I think it is. Yeah. He keeps getting me to try to watch that. I don't know. I gave the pilot like 5 minutes and I was like, oh man, I can't watch this. So I feel bad because he's watched a couple movies I recommended and he keeps trying to get me to watch that. But I don't know if I have it in me to pull a whole episode down of that, but I'm not really an anime guy. So I don't know. Do you guys want to rate last week's episode?
Do I?
Yeah.
With Mr. Big Mauser. I think I did it. He seemed very. Oh yeah. Speaking of Mauser, I'll go. I think he might be the first guest that was like a guest on the podcast and joined crew like the same week. So, or at least the first one that I've known about. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
That is
I,
cool.
I enjoyed the episode. It was a lot of good banter back and forth across the board. So, and especially since I think he followed our page. I think he pretty much followed like all of us. So at least
Mhm.
I know he followed all three of the Instagrams I have access to. So I thought that was really cool. So I hadn't really heard of him or known of him since then, but I'll be keeping an eye on him now since he's crew. So since someone joined crew out of the episode, I'll go ahead and give it a 5 out of 5 JD powers. What about you, Chris?
I loved it. I didn't know that much about him beforehand, and he sounds like a wild man. He just sounds kind of crazy. And I mean, I loved just the interview overall, but also just the show banter afterwards was excellent. So 5 JDs all the way.
Yeah, I've always discovered that like I really enjoy when somebody's on the podcast that gets it. Right? And there's two versions of it. There's the person that gets it halfway through that I love, where they're just like, they finally clue in that we're not going to ask you any of that crap. And then when they find out overrated, underrated is just for them, and then suddenly they're just like, I get it. I love listening to that because you can almost hear it. But somebody who gets it before the interview even starts and just starts just having fun immediately always makes a better podcast. So I'm going to give it the highest rating I've ever given. It's 5 JD powers.
That's unprecedented. So that'll definitely that brings up the average to we'll have Matt do the math for us with his Texas Instruments calculator and get back to us on what that average actually is. But I think it's maybe a 5. So
Big
it's pretty
math.
good.
Big math. What are you, big math now?
You got me there mid drink. That was nice. That was a good one. Well, I think we have something special in store for everyone. Mr. Big Chris is going to do a little ad read for us.
Broadcasting large in front of a live Discord crew audience this Monday and every Monday from Northwest Eastern South Dakota and Southeast South Dakota, the Massonomics Podcast. Featuring strength celebrity guests, Brown County weather and agronomic updates, and other silly goose segments. Listen today on your favorite podcast digital service provider, or dare to see the show in vivid color on YouTube. The Massonomics Podcast, the lifting podcast about nerfing. No purchase necessary, though all apparel, with exception of hats, strongly encouraged.
Well
That's
done.
great.
I really enjoyed that.
You're welcome. I work for a radio group, so I have to listen to people do radio ads all the time.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, radio ads. So like those ones where it's just two people talking to each other and repeating the same thing over and over again. Do you have to deal with those?
I don't have anything hardly to do with the radio side. Like all my side is like computer nerdy Google stuff.
Okay.
And marketing. But the company also owns 5 radio stations. But the one I know exactly what you're talking about, or if someone starts to add with, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I'm with," no, I don't care who you are. Great.
Yeah, zoned right out. But I like it'll be like if I was like, "Are you telling me this is only $2.99?" And then you would say, "Yeah, it's $2.99." And then I would go, "Keith, did you know this is $2.99?" And then we would just do that for like a solid 25 seconds. And they're like, "Yeah, that ad. Put that ad out there." People will clue in and they'll come to our shop to spend that $2.99. And it's just like, no, we hate you. Everybody who has had to listen to that ad now hates your business, hates those people. We don't even know who they are. But that's why I pay for SiriusXM.
I really need to invest in YouTube Premium because as much YouTube as I watch, God, it's fucking brutal getting through the ads sometimes. It's just like I probably waste 20 minutes of my life, 20 minutes a week, give or take, watching ads on YouTube. That's a lot.
But how many subscriptions do you need?
I just consume a lot of media.
Like you got your Peloton, right? You got your whatever the other one is that fits under the bed. You've got your Massonomic subscription. You got Netflix, Amazon. Like it's like we all live in a microtransaction world. Like EA Sports invented us, and we're all just walking around giving them money just to exist. I'll put up with ads just to not give YouTube any money all day, every day. Today we were watching Mr. Rogers with my kids, and an ad came on, and then I was like, you know what? No, I'm still not paying you buggers. Like, in fact, I'm going to click on the ad and charge the person who put this ad on my Mr. Rogers YouTube, because every time you click on it, that's how they get charged. I was like, and that's what you get for interrupting Mr. Rogers. I'm not even going to buy your product, but you're going to pay for the fact that I watched this.
I feel pretty lucky. I've got a really good friend I used to work with that works for a cable company, and he's like on the down low, hooked me up with all his logins because he just watches cable on his TV and doesn't need the logins to all the apps. So I can just I get approximately $100 worth of free shit. So it kind of makes everything else a wash that I do pay for. So if he ever leaves that company, we'll be like, fuck.
And you guys all heard it here first. Keith is a pirating, like full on just pirating.
I've been quarantined since like 2003.
Where's your bandana?
Yarr! I think Mauser's got some bandanas for you there.
All right. Well, I think we might as well do our thing and get that guest on the horn as we typically do. I know we got this.
You want to dive right in?
Yeah. I know everyone has an opinion about how long the episodes are, so we probably ought to try to get the guest on the horn.
All right. Big Chris, is that you?
That is I.
Hey, welcome. You're live on the Unpaid and Underrated podcast, the podcast about crew, by crew, for crew, featuring crew.
Thank you for having me. You're both gentlemen.
I would seldom get called that. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Look, man, you want to lie to me to gain my favor, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're already on the podcast. You don't have to, suck up anymore. You've already made it to the big time.
Oh, it's kind of fun to see you guys again since Aberdeen. That was, that from that first meeting was awkward, where you're just walking around trying to meet people, at Tanner's house to now this.
Oh, and trying to just remember everybody. I think I met the same people 3 times that weekend.
I listened to last week's episode, Steve's episode, and forgot who he was. And I looked him up on Instagram. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Steve. Oh, Steve.
Well, that's what
Steve.
That's half the reason I liked on this podcast is I want to get everyone to follow everyone on Instagram. I keep harping on it, but I feel like no one's really following through. Like, go follow the fucking guest on Instagram. Like, there's a 99% chance they'll follow you back if you have a bunch of Massonomics, mutual friends. So grow this community. So it's not only on Discord, we're kind of segueing it over on Instagram. So you get, just grow your circle of friends. So with that, where are we going to find you on Instagram, Big Chris?
I am not very original. I am at Chris Hornick. That's it.
That'll work.
That'll work. That's how you know he's really happy with something. It's because he says that'll work.
Do. That'll do.
Yeah. That'll do, donkey.
Good. The sound hark in there. Well, Chris, what brought you to Maxonomics, buddy? I want to hear the whole indoctrination.
Well, I used to be in a traveling band and used to just, when I wasn't driving, I'd be scrolling through Instagram and I would always see the verses. Like, it just got pulled up in my feed. You know how the algorithm worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I followed them or not, but then eventually I saw that they posted a billboard in Aberdeen. And I was like, there's no way. They're from Aberdeen. Like, I assumed it was like a national company or something. And then, so I followed them on Instagram, started listening to the podcast, gave them a rating. And like, I think I've met Tommy before in the past, actually. And like, I know some of Tanner's family. It's super small world out here.
Are you in Crew Falls?
No, I am in Crew Hills, Black Hills. So I'm in Rapid City.
Oh, I wonder if I went through there. No, I didn't. I went somewhere else. Well, that's really fun. Cause like even, like our bartender, at the hotel we were staying at, like worked with Tommy's wife at another job or something like that. Right. Like she just saw the shirts and she was like, "Oh, you guys are here for the thing." And we're like, "Yeah." And then she just gave us this whole story. Like it is a super small world. But I mean, when you have those little cities,
Yeah.
right? Little towns.
Like Rapid City is like I feel like it's the biggest small town in America. Like it's small, but big enough. You know, you can do basically anything here, but everybody knows everybody. Like it's bad that way.
I've heard of it, so it can't be that small.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the joke. Where if you know the name, it's not a small town anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then, so while you're traveling with the band, like, how did you get into powerlifting?
So I used to be in a band called Judd Hoos, and basically I just got interested in lifting. I think I just didn't want to be like, I would naturally weigh like 30 pounds less. I'm a natural skinny white boy. And just started lifting like a couple times a week. The drummer in the band, Shane, he's lifted forever, and I used to lift with him on and off. But just started lifting and more. And then around, I think 2017, like I remember I read Starting Strength. That was like my first, like, oh, I'm getting serious about this. And then I, started, lifting as much as, 3 times a week. And I thought like, oh, lifting 3 times a week, I'm taking this so seriously. And like, you just start doing it more and more. But then 2020, it was actually right before the pandemic. I did my first meet on the way to a gig. Like I was going from Gillette, Wyoming to Lusk. You have not heard of that town. And I swung around, like took my own vehicle and went to Casper, and they were having their Wyoming state meet. And I just did it as a guest lifter, just to, it was like USPA. So yeah, that was my first meet. And then just, that had the bug ever since. Like meets are so much fun. So, I mean, but not as much fun as the Massonomics. I mean, that's about as much fun as you can have.
It's gonna be hard to top that, yeah.
So speaking of Lift Hard, Live Easy, what was your experience that weekend? Like the meet, the when did you get in town? Because I didn't see you. I don't think I met you until maybe the meet. I mean, did we talk at Tanner's at all?
Yeah, we talked briefly. Yeah, we talked briefly at Tanner's. Kind of when there was a mass exodus. I did the late weigh-ins. The problem is I only live like 6-7 hours away. So I just left in the morning. Like gotcha. I just drove there from the morning. I'm like,
no reason to take Thursday off if you can just, get away with only taking one day off.
Yeah. So I just drove there and did right to the weigh-in. As far as lifting, like I went into the meet like I would say I was hurt. I wasn't injured. I was dealing with some pretty not fun hip pain. So I was kind of scared the entire time. Like I started super light on my squat and deadlifts. I just went like my wife honestly tried to, like, I was talking about not doing the meet. I was like, and she's like, you have to do this. This is going to be so much fun. But from the get-go, from weighing in and, seeing Tommy and Tanner, and I saw a few other crew, and that later on weigh in, so much fun. They going to Tanner's, like that was, and then the after party at the zoo, all like, seeing Jonathan Oldham, and I saw him at another meet in Dickinson, North Dakota, but seeing him again, he's such a good dude. But it was good to put a face to these internet names. That's what I thought the coolest thing is like, oh yeah, I know Big Eddie, like and yeah, he's he's kind of a crazy bastard. Like it was, and just even like when I first saw Tommy and Tanner, like this is weird. It's just weird seeing people from the internet come alive. That was weird.
Was your first reaction like most of ours? Wow, those guys are tall.
I actually wrote that down as one of my questions for you, so we'll exit out. But that was like,
no worries.
That was like, oh man, because most powerlifters are short.
Yeah,
like it's a short man's game. Like you don't want to be tall. You want to be the shortest person in your weight class.
I do. I think I remember. I can't remember if it was in the warm up room or like in between competition or something. But I could have swore I was talking to you briefly at the meet, and you remember you telling me you were hurt or whatever, so you were opening kind of conservative, and then you did like a 60-pound jump on all your seconds or something crazy like that, if I recall. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, I did. Like I was going into squats, and my last warm up was I think like just like 315, and then I opened up with 365, which would normally be like that might be my last warm up, and then I did 405, and I thought about not doing the third because it was pretty painful, but then just did 425 just to. I was like, I'm already here. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're already like it's gonna hurt, but okay, like you'll live. Like, take the I took it easy the next a couple weeks after, and I was fine. But yeah, those big jumps, I don't know. It was a little scary, but it was fun. I thought the spotters and loaders, and no one else talked about this on the sister podcasts, but they were good at hyping you up. Like I specifically remember I was going for like my second, and I was like, oh, I haven't been able to lift heavy because it was just painful. Like it was just painful to lift heavy. I could squat light for a ton of reps and be fine. But I remember like racking 405, unracking it and walking it out and kind of feeling wobbly. Like you're like, oh shit, this sucks. And then I like kind of settled. He's like, oh, you got it. Like he just said like, oh, you got this. Like just that little bit of like hyping you up. I was like, yes, I do. I'm going to do this. And just smoked the rep. Like it was no big deal. Like, that made a big difference on my day.
I agree. I
That's why they're the best, right? That's the best loading and spotting crew in the Midwest.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get one or two of them on as a guest in the future. So keep an ear out for that.
We'll get Diet Tanner on just so you can look him in the face. I'm the one that called you that.
That was such a good moment. I really enjoyed that. So as being a member of the Judd Hoos band, and so I kind of want to just paint a picture here. So you started listening to their podcast. Did you end up going back to the back episodes, or you just start picking it up like fresh? Because I asked that. I guess I'll sorry to interrupt you. Because I remember it might have been some of the older episodes. So like 15, 16, 17. Like I think that's when it was talked about. But like they've talked about your band, your 3 or 4 times, like 3 or 4 different episodes over the course of like 7 years. So like especially if it was like an older episode you were listening to, it was like, oh, they're talking about me and my buddies. Like that would just be I guess the first time you heard them talk about your band on the podcast, like after you became crew and everything, how was that?
I did cherry pick some episodes where I knew the guests. I haven't listened to all the episodes. But I remember writing a review on Apple Podcasts, just being like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you guys are from Aberdeen. Like, I'm in this band, Judd Hoos, and a couple of us lift, and we're all now listening to your podcast. And I remember then the next episode saying, oh yeah, we know Judd Hoos. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we partied with we partied at the zoo. Like, we used to play the zoo all the time. Like that was like,
okay. That was where the main connection was then. Oh, gotcha.
And I don't think anyone realizes, like, when you were at the zoo, how god awful tall that stage is. Imagine taking amps and stacking gear up there. It's ridiculous.
Really? Like, how many people could fit up there? The drum kit was not up there.
Oh yeah, everything was up there.
No,
we didn't stack the PA, but everything else was up there. I mean, it was bass rig, a couple guitar rigs, drums, like some lights.
I feel like that stage was, from my memory, the size of a deadlift platform. Like that was a tiny but tall stage, sticky as shit, and bright
sticky
and loud. How is it so sticky?
I don't know. They're nice owners, so I won't say anything.
No, they were wonderful. We met them that night, right? I've talked about that before, but
yeah, they were. I can't believe they were there. They've owned that place for like 30 years.
Oh wow!
Like nobody owns a bar that long. Like that's a bad business to be in. That's high pressure. You're dealing with college kid employees and then drunk college kids all night. Like that sounds rough.
Yeah.
Like the only worst job is like running a Chuck E. Cheese. Like that was.
Yeah. What's worse? Like just obnoxious kids or like obnoxious 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds? Like,
there's almost no difference.
Yeah. I was going to say like they both would be negative. Lots of negatives.
Actually, it would even say like with me walking around bleeding all over the bar, it's like I was just a toddler.
I remember that you're like, I'm just
Just
bleeding
walking around
everywhere.
bleeding, and I'm just like, "Hi, everybody," and people are like, "That's disgusting. Put that away." Yeah, big thanks to Big Murph. I almost made her toss cookies in the bar because she handed me a beer and I cut myself on it. You know,
It took you forever to get out. That's what I remember. Like I said goodbye to you, and like it was like a half hour later, and you were like still not gone.
Yeah. Me and Jen did I think 2 or 3 rounds of just trying to get out of there, and it just wasn't happening. And I do one round, and then somebody was like, "Have you been outside yet?" And you go outside, and you're like, "Oh my god, everybody's out here. There's an outside."
I never made it outside.
That part's new. Yeah, that part's new. Everything else, that hasn't changed at all. Like the outside's really nice, but that bar hasn't changed in 20 years.
That's why they're still doing it.
Oh yeah.
Consistency. So being in Judd Hoops for 10 years, I got a list of a handful of pretty cool bands you opened up for. What was one band that you opened up for that meant the most to you? That was just kind of like, man, I'd listen to this guy growing up. This is like, I feel like I've arrived to some extent because I'm opening for this guy. Or if you actually, did you get to meet everyone you opened for?
And don't say the Eagles.
No, not the Eagles.
The Eagles. I love the Eagles.
I don't know. I mean, we opened up for like Billy Idol, and that was really cool because he's cool. The one that just shocked me was we opened up for 38 Special.
Oh, that's cool. I like them.
And like what shocked me about them was how good they were. I had no idea that like that lead singer was also the lead guitar player. It's one of those things where like, holy crap, like how is he singing and playing all these lead parts at the same time? That one just it humbled me a little bit to be like, oh my God, these guys are, just incredible.
I think I saw them open for like what was Leonard Skinner at the time in 2004 in Pittsburgh. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Leonard. What is Leonard Skinner now?
Yeah. Leonard Skinner adjacent.
Yeah. Light.
Yeah. Well, so you've recently left the band. Was that just more like a family decision, just to not spend all your weekends in hotels and in like cargo vans, flipping it from one town to the next?
Yeah, so I joined the band or the band started, with me in 2004, and I left a year and a half ago. And it was, so I'll wrap this up quick, but like I have a 13-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old now, and you miss a lot of stuff. I mean, you miss a lot of games, you miss a lot because we typically would play like 120, 130 shows a year.
Oh, wow.
So we were gone most weekends, and especially in the summer when everything fun is. And my wife and I actually, we actually just this spring quit, but we did foster care for 8 years. So lots of kids in the house. We're kind of, we're way into that. Like my family and her family are big into adoption. But this, that's why we have our 2 boys. We have our own biological daughter, and our 2 boys are adopted. But when 2020 hit and the pandemic hit, we went from playing all these shows to playing no shows. Like we were off the road. And I remember like sitting on a lake because, the hills are just beautiful. And we were like just hanging out one day, like the whole family. And I was like, oh man, is this what I miss? And that's when I started to really have feelings of leaving not leaving Judd Hoops. It was leaving any band. Like since leaving the band, I've been asked to join so many bands. They're like, oh, do you want to join my band? I'm like, I don't think you understand it. I was in a highly functioning band. I'm not going to leave this highly functioning band to be in another band. Like we were really, we were doing well. And then 2021 hit, and we went on, did a bunch of tours. Like we were on tour with the Wild Feathers for like 2 weeks straight. Played Chicago and a bunch of, Kansas City and a bunch of, bigger cities. And that was fun. But I was just like this, the whole 2021 where we played more shows than we ever did in a year. I just felt break. Like I was just trying to hit the brakes the entire time. And then the end of that year, that was it for me.
So were you working full time and doing the band on the side, or was the band your full time job for portions of your the last 20 years?
I worked Monday through Thursday and then was on the road. And
Damn.
yeah, it was. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how.
I know how your wife did it, man. That's crazy with all
She's
those
a
kids, all the kids in the house, and you being gone like 3 nights out of the week potentially. That's crazy, man. Kudos to
yeah
you guys powering through that.
yeah. She's the best. Like you get lucky, and sometimes you get really lucky.
And then where did you find time to run a beer festival?
Oh yeah, we run that. Well, the company I work for runs South Dakota's largest beer festival, Mountain West Beer Fest, November 11th, here in Rapid City, and that's now in my hands. The past couple of years, it's super fun. It's so much fun because I like craft beer. That's why I was like, oh, what IPA do you have? Because like I can't get that from where I'm at. Actually, here in the Black Hills, like, and I'm originally from the Denver area, and there's like Colorado's kind of known for its craft beer. I feel like the Black Hills, for the population size, has really good craft beer. There's a few real, like, there's a bunch of breweries, but there's a few of them that are they've got their shit together. Like they're making some unique ones. Like they're not just like, there's some that just do like your typical IPA, lager, and stout. Like they get it out of a kit almost, and they're good.
Yep.
But there's some that are doing some really, it's like even stuff I don't like, but I appreciate. Like there's one that does like kind of fruitier sours.
Yep.
And it's not really my thing, but it's really cool.
I'm a I don't know what you would call it. They call it members, but like every year I buy into a brewery that's here in town. And, I love them. They're amazing people. They've treated me and my family amazing. My name's on the wall. Like everything's amazing, but they tend to do a lot of sours or a lot of like fruity puree beers. And I actually don't enjoy them that much, but because I love them, I keep investing, right?
Yeah.
I keep buying in, and then they'll have one that just blows me out of the water. They'll have one beer that I'll just walk in and be like, just give me 24 of those. Like, don't even fuck around. Like, I think there's about 5 or 6 breweries in my city.
What do you drink? What is what's your beer?
It's Keith's. It's Alexander Keith's. Yeah, that's pretty well documented. It's like the number one beer, but I'm taking vacation at the beginning of October, so I'll be heading back out to McKinnon. I hope. My wife and I have already spoken about it. Get a hotel and head out there. My wife. So McKinnon I've spoken about them before. They're the farm brewery where like they're just on a big giant plot of land. Their old beer fridge was blasted into the bedrock. They used to brew in the barn, and their bottle shop house was the chicken coop. They make that red beet ale that I love so much. And I always take a pilgrimage out there. It's about a 3-hour drive. But, I could do 3 hours there and then visit and then come back. But with 2 kids, you don't want to do that. You want to do 3 hours, go play in the playground for a few minutes while you unwind from that. That's another hour. We'll go to the brewery after, then come back. And then it's like 9:00 at night. And you're like, sure, drive for another 3 hours home. Right. Like, so we'll usually do an overnight if we head out there. But that's cool. That's called McKinnon, but it is a destination. There's also one out here called Bench. And I think Daminger's been out there. It's the same thing. They own.
That's not how you say his name.
Dylan Dam.
It's Dilladinger, Dingalinger, I think, right?
But they have hops fields. They have their own farmland. They have everything out here. Like that's a destination brewery, right? Whereas some of the ones in my city, they're like, well, we're, in the middle of this. We got a self-serve center in the middle of storage units. Come on and see. Sorry, they're like, sure, I'm on my way there, but like those big farm ones and stuff are the ones I really like.
That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting to see how like your taste in beer can change over the years. Like I went from like when I first started drinking, like drinking Coronas, like, and then you like work your way to like hoppier and hoppier. And now I'm like on the backside. Like I'm
Yeah.
now appreciating lagers more. And like
Yeah.
if I go to drink with my wife, like she'll order like imperial stouts. That's her thing. So they'll bring it to me.
Mine too.
And like I like whiskey and I like beer, but I don't like them together. Like
Imperial stouts are very bourbony.
yeah, it's just too much for me. So they'll bring it like, you know, the waiter or whatever will bring to me the imperial stout and give her the light lager. Like that's always the case. Like I feel like
it's like nope, that's backwards.
Yeah, it's pumpkin spice beer season, and my wife is just in heaven. Like the pumpkin spice porters, the pumpkin ales, pumpkin stout. You give her one of those this time of year, and she's just loving it. I've had my fair share. I used to drink in a bar called the Winking Judge downtown Hamilton. I'm 38 now, and I think I had my first beer at the Winking Judge at the age of 19.
Is that a Canadian thing?
Yes, we start drinking at 19 here in Canada. 18 in Quebec.
Oh, is that actually? I was making a joke. Is that actually real?
Yes.
Like, yeah. It's not 21 up there. Okay.
No. We have more faith in our young people than the Americans do, and they have this thing called the Irish Coffin, where like you have 30 days to drink one of every beer on tap, but it's always rotating taps. So you have to fill your card of like 30 beers in 30 days. And so I've had my fair share of craft beers because they were only a craft beer bar. My name was on that wall 4 times by the time they closed because we would just keep doing it. But you're right, because it's like in my early, I didn't drink till I turned 19. My 19th birthday was the first time I drank. And I drank what my dad drank. Right? And then you're just drinking whatever's at the bar. And then I found Keith's, but then I got into craft beer, and now here I am, 38. I'm just like, just give me the Keith's. Like I don't care.
What's the drinking age in Canada?
19.
19. See, when I was 18, I joined another band, Zwarte. They were like old. It's funny, like I was 18 and they were like older than I was. Like I was joining this like young guy joining an older band, and it's not like there was drug usage or anything, but there was some like serious drinking going on in that band. Mm-hmm. It freaked me out from drinking. Like I was freaked out, and I didn't really start drinking like right till I was 21. Like I was a good kid. Like I didn't, and then I really didn't like, I would say start partying at all until I was like 22. Like I just kind of got freaked out by like the culture of it.
Now, was that an experience where you were like sober and you just saw people that you were normally seeing sober just could be complete drunk assholes? Because I think if I was exposed to that when I was like 15, like I wouldn't have fucking like started binge drinking when I was 15 years old. Because if I had like at that age just saw how stupid people like, because I don't think I was like at a party, saw a bunch of drunk people and then got drunk. It was just like immediately at a party and then you start getting drunk. So it's just like, I think if I had that experience that you were talking about, like that would have actually been pretty like eye-opening and been like, okay, that's not as cool as it looks.
No, it's not as fun. It's like, oh, you're embarrassing. Like you look, and if you see people like playing poorly or anything like that, like as a musician, like Judd Hoos, we were always real professional. Like you party on your own time. Like you can have a beer set. You don't get hammered on stage. That's embarrassing.
It's actually why I have zero patience for cocaine. Zero patience for cocaine, because I've been sitting in a room and a guy walks in and he starts talking to you and he's fine. Then he leaves the room and he comes back and he's a nightmare. And you're like, I know what happened. And for me, it was just like I just have never touched it, just because of what you're talking about. Just seeing people make absolute assholes of themselves. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody who loves cocaine on this podcast.
I heard it's great. I heard it
smells great.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, exactly. I heard it's great, and that's why you shouldn't do it. Like,
yeah,
they're like you would love it, and that's why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's just it is one of those things. I just saw how people were on it and was like, yeah, I don't ever want to look like you. I'm not doing that. I've never touched it for that reason.
My addictive personality has helped me steer clear, like being self-aware of my addictive personality. Like I never did anything worse than smoking weed. So like, cause I know I'd be like, yeah, if I start doing pills or fucking doing this, that, or the other, like, yeah, I might not ever stop. So like, yeah, being self-aware enough to not put yourself in that positions, like kind of saved my life, I feel. So speaking of saving your life and kind of harkening onto the
This game
running
we
the
like to
beer
play.
running the beer fest, you've had to dealt with some really drunk assholes. So with that, has being a black belt and a former sensei helped you in any situations? And just talk about that.
Sorry, what did you just say?
Did I butcher it? That's going to be it. Sensei.
Did you just say sensei?
So
Sensei.
I
whereas
can't wait for everybody to get a hold of
I
that.
have there's a brand of thermostats that I do at work that are called Sensei. So when I read the word, it looked just, I think it actually might even be spelled the way, I don't know. So yeah, I butchered Sensei and said Sensei because it's something I use at work. But yeah, tell us about your I'm assuming karate. No one, whoever told me that didn't specify karate or jujitsu or whatever. So
I assume that's my wife who likes to embarrass me because I don't like talking about myself as it is.
we like embarrassing the guests just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're here to talk about yourself, so
Yeah, I know it's
that.
weird. Yeah, awkward. When I was in like, I don't know how, I think I was like 14, 15. I'd been going through martial arts for like, 6, 7 years and became a black belt and started teaching for a while. And then I finally started getting into music and like there was no time for that. But yeah, I got a black belt in Kenpo karate, which if you look it up is like, it's essentially what MMA is now. It's literally like it was a guy from California, Chuck Cordova, Sensei Chuck Cordova came from California to Colorado and started a school, and it was like jujitsu and judo and like small amounts of taekwondo and kickboxing. So it was like real practical fighting, but real disciplined. Has it helped me? Did it help me deal with drunk people?
Well, especially being in a band too, you've had to have like just been in a bunch of bar scenes after the fact, and just you had to have encountered assholes that you just had to, did your best to walk away from, and maybe you weren't able to.
I think most of that is just like yeah, it was funny is actually the later years in the band is where I felt like I was in more situations, and most of that I think was like losing my patience with drunk people where you're like, oh my God. Like, and most of it's when I typically don't get mad when like someone's being mean to me because I'm like, okay, fuck off. Like, but if they were like, we had like a young crew guy we brought on the road one summer and he was like 18, and these two drunk guys were hassling him. Like they were like, he was like just selling merch and they were really hassling him. And I about got in a fight. Like
Nice.
I was like, hey, like I told the guys like, hey, piss off, like go bother someone else. And I heard him say something under his breath. And like my reaction was not a mature reaction. It was like I kind of like charged up on him. I was like, what'd you say? What'd you say? Instead of like going, okay, and moving on with my life, like, oh, they're drunk and being dumb. But like I escalated the situation, definitely. But I stayed out of fights. I don't know. I tend to not get in fights. I'm a golden retriever. I just like I tend to be likable and try not to be in those situations.
That desire there to like because I can say it all day every day. I've talked about my job before when somebody's like mean to me, I'm just like, you know what, man, I think we can work for a solution together. Like I'm such a just like de-escalate, but if they're mean to one of my team or even worse, mean to another customer, like I immediately become Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. Like I'm just immediately like name tag's coming off. Let's talk, man. Like, and I think I see what you're saying because like, yeah, I'm as nice as they can get.
It's hard to see it. It's hard to see it. Like our lead singer once was taking a picture with this girl. Like she was like, oh, I want to take a selfie. Like it was after the show. He's like, sure. Drunk boyfriend who's jealous of this girl comes up and dumps a whole beer on his head.
Oh
and like,
shit!
And well, like, and this is like experience of being on the road. Like, if you're in a small town, like you don't know the cops, you don't know what's going. Like, and I'm not saying like police are bad, but like you don't know the situation, you don't know who the security is. And like I had to like Tyler's like he's like a skinny, he's a skinny dude, but it's like you'd have to kill him to stop him. It's because it's not because he would win the fight. It's because he wouldn't be willing to lose. Like you would have to knock him out to stop him. He just kind of got that like anger switch, and we were all just like holding him back. And the security, kicked the, that boyfriend dude out. But that's some pride swallowing situations.
Yeah, that would be hard to keep your composure with that situation. Like that's like because that's assault at that point. I don't care if it's a beer or like anything. Like that's you do anything that puts something on me or touches me, like that's fucking assault. So
Yeah,
that'd be hard to.
what you're saying, just to make sure people don't get it all twisted. You're right. In a small town like that, the bouncer's his cousin, the cop is his brother. You're the guy that's reacting. The reason he's acting the way he is because he knows he's protected. Like you don't know any of that. Right? That all just harkens back to why I was so absolutely nice in Aberdeen to that guy that yelled at me at the meet. I don't know you. This isn't my town. I will do everything I can to acquiesce. Should I have? No, but like, I don't know you. I don't know why you're here. I don't know anybody around me. Right? So just wanted to make sure that, I hear what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Validated
Absolutely.
and heard.
So speaking of basically venues you've played, so if you had to pick, you don't. Okay, so if you choose to answer half of this, that's fine because the other one's kind of a negative. So best and worst venue ever played, but if you don't want to answer worst, feel free not to. I don't want you to feel like you're throwing someone under the bus.
Oh no. I love the worst one. I know exactly where it is.
It's the Odie Arena in Aberdeen.
Oh God, the best is hard. It's easy to remember the worst of things. I mean, we played. The Sturgis Buffalo Chip was cool because it's a really big arena. But I can't even remember the name. It's up in North Dakota. We played their state fair, and it's a big one. I think there's like 20,000 people there, and that's what was cool. So it was like just a huge crowd. That's where we opened up for Billy Idol, and that was cool because it was just we had a great crowd reaction, lots of young people. The worst is a better story.
Let's hear it.
Let's go.
Also in North Dakota. So we were playing. This is early years of the band. We were taking any gig. This is in Jamestown, North Dakota, and we played an outdoor show in like October, in like late October. It was like 40 degrees out, maybe like Fahrenheit. Like maybe that was the high that day. We were like playing in like winter coats. Okay, so it's freezing. So we played in front of, I think, 2 people, maybe like the entire night, 2 people next door to this stage. And we're playing on top of a flatbed trailer, which is like a common Midwest thing. Like it's, street dances. You play on top of a couple of flatbed trailers, drums on the back one, guitar rigs, and everyone else in the front, set up and go. Next, in the next door lot, there was a leaking septic tank.
Oh, good.
So it smelled like horrifically bad. And it was absolutely freezing. It was like the second, like you went on stage, you went from like, you'd sit in your vehicle trying to warm up, and then you went to just freezing, just absolute, like, or your hands hurt. Like, you're like, I can barely play. And our drummer's like looking at us like, what's wrong with you guys? Cause he can he can keep playing, but all the guitar players are just dying.
That's hysterical. Was that maybe do you think that was your only show where your band outnumbered the audience?
No.
Uh-oh.
No, we had the first Sturgis rally we played up in Deadwood, and Deadwood is not Sturgis, and the bikers were just going by like thousands. We would watch thousands of bikers going by, and I bet we played like 7 days in a row, and I bet we played in front of a dozen people, maybe.
Oh wow!
Like it was. Those are good for you though. Like that's just practice. You're getting paid to practice.
Humbling.
Yeah.
So, Big Dave, our meet director, had 2 questions for you. The first one was, are you going to do the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic next year? And then the second one was pick or fingers.
Oh, good. So yes, I will do it no matter what.
Hell yeah.
Just need a date. And
yeah. Do you hear that, Tommy and Tanner? We need a date. It'd be nice to get a date, get that venue all sorted so we can start planning our 2024, guys. Please and thank you.
And Dave is talking about, do you play with a pick or fingers for bass? And I played with my fingers. I actually I used, instead of like 2 fingers, I used 3 typically. Like, what's his name from Iron Maiden? I can't think of it. Steve Harris, is that him?
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank too. Normally when it comes to the metal talk, I'm all in.
Yeah. I think that's him, Steve Harris. That sounds right. Yeah. So, or Billy Sheen from Mr. Big. He does that too.
So I have a follow up with playing bass with your fingers. I'm assuming you still currently play recreational to some extent, or even so. Say when you were lifting, did you have to like be cautious with deadlifting because like you had to be obviously you were making money with your hands. I guess I'm more thinking if you were like a hook gripper, like if you were hook gripping and like you ripped some fucking skin off your fingers. Typically that's your thumb if you're hook grip, but still like depending on how you deadlift, you could rip callus the skin on any finger or palm. So did that ever play a role in like how you had to play or how you deadlifted precautionarily?
No, but I did learn you cannot bowl. Like we all went bowling like an hour before a gig, and like that hand strength, that constant like holding of a ball, and like we
Mm-hmm.
played like 2 or 3 games. I was in so much hand pain. I was in like cramping up horribly. So
I
don't
can see
roll.
that.
Well, if you're not slapping the bass,
Yeah.
then you don't really need to worry about like your thumb calluses or anything like that, right?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, you're not bonky bonk is what I call it. Actually, that was what Maynard called it in his book, and I was like, that is what that is. But that's that bonky bonk bass that like Primus and Red Hot Chili Peppers and a lot of those bands do. It's where it just sounds
Percussive.
silly. Yeah, that's it. The only time I've ever enjoyed it was at a Corn, but that was because they drop tuned so ridiculously that you could barely even tell it was bonky bonk. It was just fuzz.
Corn was like my intro to metal. Like it went like Corn and Rage, and like I like a lot of different music, but like that was like I felt like that's where things turned for me, where I was like, oh, this is cool.
And Corn only got progressively more aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were like rap. The first album, let's play some metal nostalgia here. The first Corn album was an emotional monster. There's a song on there where I'm not going to get too into the details, but he's just bawling his eyes out while he's singing it. And if you don't know what that song is, I'm not going to get into what it's about or anything like that. But it's literally just Jonathan Davis crying. And then the next one was This Is Silly. Was the next one Follow the Leader?
Follow the Leader. And no one, you don't hear about this because it was a CD.
Yeah.
What I remember most about Follow the Leader is you'd put it in your player and it would go track 1,
Yeah.
track 2, track 3, track 4. Like immediately, no break, all the way to 13. And 13 was the first song, and you were like, "Oh my god, this is devil music! Like this is so cool."
Well, that was because the first album was 12 tracks, and this album was following up to that. But it was rap. Cool. It was rap rock. So you went from that insane, like I was bullied as a teenager and other bad things happened, to rap rock, and then they kind of went new metal for a bit, and then their last 2 albums, it's almost crazy how just aggressive and how he changed his tone as a singer. And I'm going to catch maybe some slack for this, but Jonathan Davis invented a new style of singing. When he did that little whiny thing to that scream and growl and stuff like that, nobody had done that before him. And he still is changing to this time. So like if you are at all listening to Korn for their newer stuff, there's a song they did with Corey Taylor, which I really encourage you to listen to, because it is just insane heavy, and Korn is still doing it.
That's cool.
So anyway, this is the podcast about Korn. There's Eddie's coming.
I did my best. Yeah, I did my best. I tried to listen to a handful of, Judd Who's songs, and I specifically watched some of the videos that you were the director of to kind of get a feel for the music. And I have to tell people, doesn't sound anything like Korn. Kind of just
no.
And if I had listened to this episode and then went and listened to all your music, I would have been disappointed, thinking I was going to get some Korn. Very much.
Like the band definitely changed over the years. Like we were like
a little harder in the beginning.
I think a little harder in the beginning. And just the songwriting went to more like, I don't know, more country-esque, but like, actually like some of those like on the second album, some of the songs on there are, like Say My Name is a rock song. Like if you hear it like that's a rock song. That's a straightforward rock song. But then I don't know, like later on things got, I would say, poppier, but also I don't know, like we were still a rock band. Like no matter what, we were a guitar rock band. Like those guys are still playing today, and I have mad respect, all the love for them, and they're like it's some of the best guitar playing out there right now. Like the two guitar, like the lead singer and lead guitar player, like play so well together. Like it's when you watch them, it's like it's guitar player porn. Like you're like, oh, this is sweet. This is really cool. Like they won't, and I'm not just like talking like dual leads, like, and they'll do that, but like they'll do like just where they're playing totally different things that mesh really well together.
That's cool. It probably takes a fair amount of work to kind of like get that in sync.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
are both those members OG members? Is that why they're such good, like, rhythm?
No, the guitar actually the lead guitar player has been in the band longer than the original guitar player. The drummer is the only actually original member, but Tyler was the new lead singer. And God, I can't even remember what year he joined. That was a long time ago. So, yeah, like the band's seen a lot of changes over the years, for sure.
Nice.
And that would be, contributing to the change in sound.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
inevitable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like we get a lot of haters. Like a lot, like some people hated us, like when it changed, but then we got a lot more popular. So it's like hard to deny that.
No, I get it. It's like a couple people leaving Slipknot, right? When Joey left Slipknot, things sounded different because he was a contributor, but like that's just inevitable.
Or more Iron Maiden talk. Bruce Dickinson wasn't the original lead singer. Or Faith No More. Like there aren't, like, no one talks about it, but like, yeah, those weren't the original singers.
Now, do you still contribute at all? Like I mentioned Joey Jordison, but like when he left the band, he left for health reasons. He still contributed like from a production and kind of like opinion level. Do you do any, like, are you just completely done? Like I'm out, retired, I'm gone.
Up until like a month ago, I was working for their management company. So, and then they left our group, which is like, it's honestly like not a bad thing. It's not like mean or mean spirited. They just want to handle things on their own. Which is like, it's actually like good timing of some of the things. But if they ask for anything or like any advice, like, cause I do like a lot of online marketing and event marketing, like I will absolutely like give them help and, do whatever they need.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that's cool. You still have that connection with them. So.
Oh yeah, like I saw one of the guys, like he actually switched gyms, and I didn't even know it, and I lifted with him today. Like he was,
sweet.
We were lifting adjacent. Like we weren't like, like him in his room. Like I showed up, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? He was like, oh, I switched gyms. I'm like, and him, his two roommates were lifting, and so it was kind of fun.
So I heard you're a big Stephen King fan. Is that right?
I am.
So I got a couple Stephen King questions. I'm trying to think of how I want to word them. So I'll go with what's your favorite Stephen King book or book series? Like,
So for a series, I would say,
you can answer them independently if you want. That's fine. That's
for
cool.
a series, the Gunslinger, the Dark Tower series.
Yep.
That's one of the best series ever. The hard part with that is the first book's probably the worst. Like you have to power through it. You have to like power through that one. It's like the way the Terminator movies are. Like the first book is kind of like a chase. It's more of like a chase, and then like the ones after are a lot more plot interesting. As far as a single book, that 11/22/63, the one they made a mini series on it, I think. The one about the Kennedy assassination, that's probably like one of the better written ones. It was awesome though. That it like is one of the few books like I just listened. I didn't read that one. I listened to it and I had to pull over because I thought I was going to puke. Like I was like,
wow.
Like that's like everyone thinks of him as a horror writer, and actually I think most of his writing isn't horror. That's horror. Like that. Like I thought I was going to puke. Like this is not. It is, and it's not like
we're talking about big Waffle Irons snowmobile injury story, right?
Yeah. It's like it's not like yeah, like, oh, this is gross, or this is shot, like this is someone jumping out at you. It's like, no, this is horrific. This is something I can't even like put words to. That's what horror is to me.
When I actually read that as a kid,
Oh,
it was the first like long book I read, and I think I read it twice. And like I'm not going to pretend it didn't have an effect on me, because like we used to pretend like it was real and we were going to go fight the evil it clown. And but I was like 12 or 13 when I read that book. And you know, I will say, I'll go out and be controversial because that's what we do on this podcast. I do think that Bill Skarsgård was a better Pennywise the Clown.
Well, yeah.
oh, really? He's a great actor.
Yeah, I do love Tim Curry. I just don't, I think he did what was best with what he was given. But I do think that Skarsgård was a better version of Pennywise the Clown, more true to the book.
Yeah, it was probably more true to the book. I do agree with that.
He was definitely scarier because they didn't, it wasn't made for TV. It was an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
But also, I will say I've never read The Dark Tower, and I think we've spoken about it on this podcast before. But The Dark Tower actually kind of brings Stephen King, his entire universe, into full circle.
Oh,
because the thing that is it is also in The Dark Tower, right? Like it is this weird transdimensional evil force that is in Dark Tower. It's in it. It's in another one of his books, and he never names it. But at some point, I think during The Dark Tower, you realize that that's what Pennywise the Clown was.
There's a lot of like towns that are the same, like in all the books, like or just little hints. Like you're like, oh, that character, like that weird side character ran in, or like he's big on that, on tying all of his worlds together.
Yep.
Yeah, I think my first exposure to him was it Different Seasons? I think it was like the 4-part novella. It had the Rita Hayworth story, which ended up becoming Shawshank Redemption, and it had The Body, which became Stand By Me. And then I think there was Apt Pupil, and then which was also a movie. And then I don't remember what the fourth one was, but that was like my first experience with that. I did get into The Gunslinger. I want to say I think I powered through the first and second book, and then kind of just dropped the series. But it was like 10 years ago or more. I might have to get back into it though. Remember the second one just got super weird with the I don't know. It was
I love the second one. I love it. So creative.
Yeah, it was a very interesting world he created. And then that's, I don't know, I was probably like in my early 20s when I tried to read it the first time. So it was just more like 15 years ago. So I might have to get back into it, but I don't know. I do like series that are like built on, like, I much rather read like a 10 book series than like a one-off novel. I'm never a fan of that. So, but that's cool that is what you like. So a follow-up on that is favorite movie and series that's inspired or off Stephen King. He's had a whole lot of stuff made. He's had a shit ton of made for TV movies. There's a shit ton of like big box office movies, a couple mini series, and like standalone shows. So what are your
I think Shawshank Redemption's the best movie, and I think most of that's because the short story I actually don't think is that great. I think that the short story is okay, but the movie is, because of who they got as the actors, like Morgan Freeman and what's his name, like it's incredible. I can't think of his name.
It's one of the Bulls. It's one of the Bills, isn't it? Bill Pullman or Bill Paxton?
No,
not Paxton.
Fuck, it's Timothy something. Fuck.
It's not Timothy McVeigh.
Oh, fuck you. No, it's not.
Yeah, that's got to be the best. I mean, like Dreamcatcher was cool, but it seemed really B movie.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Tim Robbins, not Tim. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Morgan Freeman.
I feel like there's a lot of okay Stephen King movies, like just a little bit low budget. Like
we actually touched on one in the beginning too, because he wrote Maximum Overdrive, I believe, if I recall.
He wrote
or I think it was
The Running Man. That's a good one. Ooh, that one, the book and the movie have nothing to do with each other. Like they're hardly.
Not at all. Yeah, actually, that's one of the few that I've read and seen. Yeah, The Langoliers, I think, is another movie I watched of his.
I like that one.
It was Sicily eating meatballs or fur balls or whatever. Running Man is definitely a very good example of Arnie tends to do that a lot, right? Arnold did what was that short story? Total Recall.
Oh yeah.
Where like Total Recall was like 30 pages long. And then they were like, no, that's a whole movie. And then they're not the same thing at all. They're not even similar at all.
That's like World War Z, with Brad Pitt.
That's a weird book. Yeah. It's
that
just like a chronological thing. It's just like telling like events. I don't know.
Yeah. Besides that, it's about zombies and it's called World War Z.
Yeah. Zero similarities.
They have nothing to do. Yeah, like there's none of the same characters. It's not about the same thing at all. Like,
yeah, it was very disappointing.
That guy wrote the zombie
survival guide or something.
The survival guide, yeah.
Yeah, I think I listened to that too.
Well, I read it actually, and fun story you can all learn about me. I was the second in Canada, the first in Ontario member of the Zombie Research Society. I started my own chapter. We got people involved, but I couldn't get people to actually help me do any experiments. And yeah, that was fun. But
experiments on like each other, like can I kill you and see when you reanimate? Like that, I wouldn't want to volunteer for that.
So one of the ideas was like, if you were part of the Zombie Research Society, Chris, do you have any interest in zombie stuff at all?
I love zombies.
Good. Let's go.
We got to get prepared.
Yeah.
We need to be ready.
Is that when you were part of the Zombie Research Society, you founded your chapter, gather your members, but you had a year to contribute a research paper. And at the time, I was in school doing cultural studies. So I was all about, like, why do we care about zombies? Like, why does anybody care? But what I wanted to do was experiment with different weapons. I have a friend who's a butcher. How much would it cost to get 3 pig heads so that we could test weapons that your average human could use? Which one would work? But it was just one of those things where like nobody would like agree to help me financially contribute. Nobody would show up in time to do it. And we just ended up closing the chapter. I finally emailed them and was like, no, we have to close the chapter. But now I have a question. You love zombies. Okay. You've read the Zombie Survival Guide?
Yes.
Okay. Number one weapon. What is your number one weapon / tool when shit goes sideways? That's eventually going to happen. One of 2 things are going to happen. We're all going to burn to death because the sun's going to come after us, or zombies. Like there's no inevitable like second, third term.
Number one weapon
or tool. Because remember, could be both. I know what mine is.
Oh, I feel like you think you want something heavy. You think you would, but then you're going to get tired.
You think
if you could get like a samurai sword, like I know not to like harp on Walking Dead, but like that was an efficient killing weapon. And even though like she's like a badass the way she uses it, yeah, you don't have to be. Like if you can swing a baseball bat, you can do that.
Lucille, yeah. That's a good question, man. That's got me stumped. Because like there's been so many bad ones. Like I consume pretty much everything that's like B or A or movie zombie related. I think the funniest one I saw was like I think it was Tyrese in Walking Dead had like a big like framing construction hammer, and I'm like, that just doesn't seem like you're gonna get that stuck just because like the ergonomics of it, and then when you finish driving it through, your fucking hand is right by their fucking mouth. It's just the way a hammer works. Unless you're like standing above them, like as you drive it in, you're gonna be so close to like the impact zone of the teeth. Like, so I don't know. You'd want something like long and skin, like almost like a 2-foot piece of rebar where you can just like stand and jab them. But then that's also like how much force, like Joey was saying, like how much force do you need to apply to pierce the skeleton to breach the brain? Like I think a hell of a lot more than what they show on TV. Like I don't know how thick this human skull is, but some of the times they just like do the tiniest little jab.
Yeah, like it's a pen and they've killed the zombie with. And I think that being part of the Zombie Research Society, this is a thing I have thought about a lot. I think if I had to point out a flaw in your logic, it's that you want to kill anything. And ultimately, you don't. You want to fucking run. You want to run and be far away as fast as possible. If you're going to use a baseball bat, you're going to put a sock over it.
Yeah.
Because if that baseball bat catches on something, you simply pull.
Smart.
The sock comes off. My number one tool would be a crowbar with a handle on the side. Because it's heavy, it's sharp, and you can get into places. You can break locks, you can open doors, you can climb walls. If you've got that handle and you've got that hook, that can reach a higher wall, and then you can pull yourself up if you're not weak. So that's my tool. I do hate how much everybody focuses on guns, because I think that's the stupidest thing you could use. Right? But again, that's the focus of, they're zombies, I'm going to kill them. No, they're zombies, you run. You get as far away as possible.
Also, I think it's we're not going to go political about guns, but people don't understand how difficult it is to shoot a gun, especially in distress. Like if your heart rate's up, and like shooting a handgun is really hard, actually. Like to hit a target, like it's not the movies where like, oh, they're 50 yards away and you bullseye. That's not what happens. Like you're like,
exactly.
Some listeners might be that person. I'm not that. Like I'm an okay shot. Like if I about once a year, I'll go and shoot like blue rock, like, clay pigeons. And I'm pretty good with a shotgun, but that's in a fun, friendly environment. Like, no one's shooting at me. No, there's no zombies. I'm not screaming and carrying a person, like carrying one of my kids with me.
And still somehow like headshotting 3 out of 5 of them.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And also that gunshot is alerting all the other zombies in earshot that you're there. Right? Like that's what I say it's the stupidest. You're right. Like from a tactical perspective, you're right. But also, hey, everybody, I'm over here is exactly what that does. And the two biggest threats in the zombie apocalypse are zombies and people that want what you have.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what makes like Walking Dead and End of the World. Like that's what I like about like Stephen King and like I just read The Dome, and it's not about the end of the world. It's about how you handle like these horrible situations and what would you do. That's what I love about it.
And that's why I've always loved zombie stuff, is because it's apocalyptic. Sure, it's all of that, but it's also about like, how are you going to behave? Who are you going to be when that shit comes up? And obviously in all zombie movies, there's a hero and there's the villain and there's all that stuff. But like, which one are you going to be? Right? That's what, I had one in my mind and I forgot about it. I want to say The Last of Us.
Yeah. Great. HBO show.
Where that dude was neither. He was neither the hero or the villain.
Yeah. You just want to survive.
Yeah.
He just wanted his daughter and his girlfriend not to die, and he didn't have much luck with that.
Yeah.
So good. Big Chris. Okay, so post-apocalyptic world.
Sorry.
No. This is
just found something. I was like, wait a minute. I want to talk about this and hammer it home.
I was in.
So same world. So post-apocalyptic, towards the beginning of the apocalypse here, and you stumble across a giant grocery store completely stocked, but you only have enough room in your backpack for 3 boxes of cereal. I hear you're a big cereal guy. What 3 different cereals are you putting in your post-apocalyptic, potentially last cereal you're ever going to eat before you die? 3 bowls of cereal.
This is hard.
Just 3.
You can choose 3 boxes, and you probably won't finish all of them. That's the hard part here.
Okay. You're gonna think I'm crazy, and I'll explain why I'm picking this one.
Yeah,
Crispex. It is not Chex. It is shaped like an octagon. Do I get to bring milk? That's also my question.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, let's assume you can.
Let's say I have a cow.
You're going to enjoy your 3.
Yeah, because the big reason why I like this cereal, it's like a Chex, but it's corn on one side and it is rice on the other in this octagon. Yeah, it's this octagon shape, and it doesn't soak up the milk; it holds the milk inside. that like inside its little like shape.
Interesting.
So when you bite on it, it like kind of semi explodes. Like it's perfect. It doesn't get soggy real quick. Great cereal. I'm gonna go with, and I'm not like a big dessert cereal guy. I don't like Count Chocula or those. Like if you're gonna eat cake, go eat some cake, like or whatever you're gonna like. I like this is a rare one, and I'm getting this because of nostalgia. O's. They look like
O's.
They look like Cheerios, but they have like a honey nut cluster inside of them.
I remember them. Yep. Everything just came back to me. Yep.
Those are very good. Oh, third. God, this is terrible. This would be bad because I'd grab a bunch of cereal. I do love cereal, like night cereal.
We heard. That's why I tried to like pose it in a funny kind of game way.
If you want to gain weight, like when I'm trying to gain weight, I do a night cereal. Like you just have before you go to bed, you have your bowl of night cereal. Oh my God, this is mean. I'm gonna. I mean, I'm just gonna go with like the classic Midwest honey bunches of oats with almonds. Those are good. I know they get soggy quick, but you're gonna eat them. You're gonna power through that bowl fast.
I'd love Fruit Loops. Like, am I the only person in the world where I'm just like, no, I just love a good bowl of Fruit Loops?
Yeah,
those. I mean, they're all awesome. Like, all those cereals are great. Like even just plain Cheerios, the multigrain Cheerios, those are good. Like,
I think when we first got together, my wife was shocked to find out that I like the big bricks of shredded wheat.
Oh yeah.
I just put brown sugar on them and some milk, and I'm like, yeah, that's my favorite cereal. And she's like, really? Like, you're like a foodie, like you're an extravagant person, and you're eating shredded wheat. Yeah, I am. It's delicious.
You reminded me. Is it honey bunches of oats? Is that what? Or what's the
little mini shredded wheat ones? Like
yeah,
the frosted mini frosted shredded wheats, right?
They're not frosted, but they have a cinnamon version.
Okay.
And they have another version that I like better. I can't remember what I think it's just brown sugar. I think it's just
it's got to be mini wheats.
No, I'm thinking of Quaker.
Oh, the Quaker ones. Yes.
What are those called?
I wish I could tell you, but I can picture the box right now.
I would grab that might be my first pick.
Yeah.
Those are really good. Those will keep you alive, like maybe.
For a while. You can eat them dry like dog food or dog food like Mauser.
That was really fucking funny. I forgot because he telegraphed the story too, because like you knew he was like, yeah, he forgot to buy the dog, or he forgot to buy the cereal, and he sure enough did. And I was like, I think I would have just dropped the bit for that night, because like the 20 people there probably didn't care.
No,
if you ate dog food.
You commit to the bit, Keith.
Yeah, he's a wild man. That was and dog food's, I think,
disgusting.
Well, it tastes bad, but I think it's actually full of a lot of bacteria that like dogs can handle, because it's just food sitting out. So you can it's not good for you. It's kind of like eating like eggs raw. Like it's kind of okay until it's not okay. Yeah, a bad one, and then you're really sick.
He's funny. He did follow me on Instagram too, and I messaged him after the podcast. I was like, "This is great stuff, man. Yep, great stuff."
Yeah, you threw me there with picking all like the non-dessert cereals. Like I that's like, I mean, like cereal was like the staple in my life growing up, but I never necessarily consumed cereal to be like, oh, how can I make this kind of healthy? Cereal was always like a treat. It was always dessert, basically. So
I think I'm with Chris on this one. Like I love, so Fruit Loops are like my favorite, but it's just because they smell good and it's nostalgic. But if I'm like, no, I have to get ready for my day like a 38-year-old man, then I have this high protein one right now that I paid way too much money for, and it kind of tastes like rocks. There's like weird rocks in them, whatever that is. I'll never buy that one again. But like I buy like Vector. I buy the Vector maple flavored bricks because they're high in protein, they're high in fiber, because like I'm an old man and I just need to like make sure my day goes well. I want the Fruit Loops. I want the Reese's peanut butter puffs. I want the desserts. But like also I need to like look at how am I going to feel at noon if that's what I eat this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely start my pretty much at least 5 days of the week with a cup of cereal, like a protein cereal. But if I had to, I'm just gonna abbreviate, give you an abbreviated answer because I'll just pick my favorite fruity or desserty cereal. It's not a super common one because I think it was discontinued for several years. I don't know where it stands now, but French Toast Crunch, not
Oh
Cinnamon Toast
yeah.
Crunch. Because Cinnamon
French
Toast
toast
Crunch is
crunch
okay,
everywhere up
but
here in
French
Canada.
Toast is fuck. It
Yeah.
like it went away from the States for like a decade. I feel like
And it
it
was
was
little
around.
toast shapes. Like how the
Oh
that
yeah,
was
they were
so
amazing.
that was probably
It was
so
my favorite dessert cereal ever.
Yeah, so many of those cereals would hurt your mouth. Like everyone talks like
yeah.
Captain Crunch is like
That was
dangerous, but there
brutal.
were a lot of dangerous cereals like that would hurt your mouth as a kid. Like why did they give you that?
Oh, this one I was talking about, this protein cereal. I'm not kidding. I legitimately have been picking what feels like rocks out of my mouth in the middle of chewing through this because they're just like this independent Canadian company that are like, we're gonna make like a lifter friendly cereal. I was like, yeah, I'll try anything once, right? Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, full on, just like, what is this? And like, I would drop it back into the bowl, and it would go ting. And I'm like, what is this in my food? It feels like pebbles.
It's definitely frustrating. There's not better high protein options for like quick and easy high protein options.
Just take a look at the Vector maple. So the Vector has the regular Vector, but it hurts my teeth because it's just very hard encapsulated flakes. But then they made this maple that is puffed maple, kind of like Captain Crunch, but it's high in protein. It's a little less protein than the regular, but it doesn't hurt my old man teeth.
There you go.
So yeah, take a look at that one if you want to see. It's not cheap. Like I'm not going to pretend you're not going to spend money on this, but that's the one I mostly keep in the house.
My daily breakfast for probably like 3 or 4 years, so like my peak healthiest when I was like tracking macros daily. Like the product doesn't exist anymore. It's pretty devastating, but it was called P28 Bagels. I was like the company was P28, but since went out of business because the guy literally put his fucking wife in his put his wife in his trunk and killed her, I believe, and is currently in jail. And his company is just like in limbo. It doesn't exist anymore. But the bagels were like the best tasting high protein because it was actually P28 as in like there was 28 grams, there's 28 grams of protein in like a toasted bagel. So that's a lot of protein for a fucking bagel.
So if the judge lifts, he's gonna get off. Like this
Yeah, no,
company has to
I'm pretty
exist.
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's over. But like, it's just weird that like no one's been able to, unless he was lying about the macros. Like, I've seen other protein bagels. I've bought protein bagels off Amazon. They just tasted like fucking cardboard. Where this actually tasted like a hearty like wheat bagel, but it legitimately had 28 grams of protein in it, which was like enough to start my day and like
Sounds like you
somewhat
should just eat
healthy.
a bunch of chicken bakes. Why don't you have more
Yeah.
chicken bakes in the house?
I was trying to I was anticipating that video coming out today, but I guess it's coming out tomorrow because usually they've been switching it up what days they release their YouTubes because if it's on Thursday we can watch it before the recording. But I like last minute I looked at it because I thought it was coming out at 4 o'clock today, and I was like, oh, it's coming out tomorrow. What the fuck? So then I had to delete it from the notes. But I have to have a gripe about. I hope they cover that the frozen ones you buy in the store are completely different macros from the ones they claim the macros are at the food court because it's like a 20 or 30 gram difference in protein. Like the frozen ones
Oh
only
my
have like
god.
36 grams of protein. So I don't understand how the ones they make in the store, which I would assume are the frozen ones just fucking warmed up, have like 60 grams of protein or 45 grams of protein. It just doesn't, the math doesn't make sense. But then again, we're not.
I work at Costco, and I'll tell you something. Most of what they serve in the food court is just heated up versions in Canada, at least. I can't, is heated up versions of what they sell,
Yeah, which
except the pizzas,
mhm,
right? Like the pizzas they actually hand make, which is
interesting.
insane because you sell frozen pizzas.
Yeah.
But when they changed like the recipe, it went from being this disgusting cardboard pizza to being like New York styled, like delicious cheese pizza. So I actually would say it's probably not. They're not just serving you the frozen ones.
Hmm.
It's unlikely if that's that difference of a macro. However, I would also like to point out I have not been able to at any point Google to confirm the macros. It has been different.
Can't we get someone at a lab or someone to figure this out? Like This seems like a science project for a high school or something.
Yeah, like we'll get Jake from State Farm on it or something. Like somebody that knows how to. Him and Bryce can get together.
It's got to be like 9. It's got to it's like 9 or 10 ounces of chicken to equate to that much protein. I mean, I guess they're counting like the cheese and shit, but like
Cheese is
it's
protein.
it's just yeah. But I mean, like it's cheese, Caesar dressing, and just bread and chicken. Like there's no fucking protein in Caesar.
If there's Caesar dressing in there, then those calories are off too.
Yeah, the fat has to be way higher.
Because Caesar dressing is a nightmare of calories.
So I honestly don't buy the fucking chicken bake macros. So that's why I was really anxious for Tanner's video. So I guess tune in next week and we'll review Tanner's video on the chicken bake and critique it if we didn't go into enough detail or liking.
I'm sure I'll get around to watching that at some point. Is that coffee in that mug there?
Water. I switched from coffee, then I just put water in it, so it's
water.
It's
coffee?
like hop. It's like hop water, but coffee water.
A lot of hop talk lately, and I still don't know what hops is. So one of these days I'll figure it out.
I'm gonna mail you so many hops.
It's kind of like sweet Irish spring soap. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I was mentioning Bench earlier and McKinnon. They both have hops fields on their farm. But
that's cool.
Bench specifically grows about 3 or 4 different kinds of hops. But we haven't been back since we went walking through. And then on the way out, my wife turns to me and goes, you can't get in the car like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, look at your pants. I was covered in spider mites.
Oh, really? No.
Like from my ankles to my knees. Doused in spider mites because I guess they were just living in the hops field. At McKinnon, they have goats and chickens that live in their hops field to avoid that from happening. But at Bench, I guess they were just like bareback and they're just like, well, sure, this will just deal with itself.
Bareback, hardly knew her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we haven't been back to Bench. We don't go in the fields anymore because of that. Because I didn't even notice. And she's like, look at you. You ever seen a spider mite, Keith?
I don't, but I'm just at spider, and I was just kind of grossed out by that.
Good, don't. So. There's thousands of them on me. They're little tiny guys about the size of fleas, and they're just everywhere. Gross.
So, Big Chris, I got one more question I want to ask before we. Well, Joey could ask one more if he wants, but we should probably move into our game here shortly. But I have one more I want to follow up with. So I was perusing your Instagram, and I can't tell if my phone color was off or not, but are you a fan of orange? And do you actually have do you have orange shoes, base, and socks, or was my eyes misleading me?
I am a fan of orange. Nice. I don't know why. I was always known for an orange base. I bought this stupid cheap, like really crappy orange base, and I bought it solely for the color, and I put literally like $1,200, like got a new neck, got a new tuners, got new pickups, like everything but the body was, replaced. It was kind of silly. I probably would have been better off just like building a base than doing what I did. But yeah, I'm a big orange fan. I have orange chucks and yeah, love the orange.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear.
Wow. Kindred spirits.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I'm not quite ready to get into our game yet. So I noticed there's an extremely high amount of bassists in the crew.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Sure. I think you're our 4th, if I'm being honest, and we're only at episode like 91. So who is your favorite bassist? I've asked everybody like some version of this. I think the last person we had on, we went off about what's his face? Robert Trujillo. Because he finger sweeps too, right? Like he's
incredible. His chops are just unreal.
He's crazy to watch. Les Claypool has obviously come up a bunch of times. Peter Steele did not come up enough, I think, from Typo Negative. So like,
yeah, Typo Negative's fun. He's super fun. What a performer! Like,
well, and everything he does. I remember watching somebody's like reaction video where they were like, "Are you listening to the Discord in this song?" And he had this weird harpsichord discord in the background. And she's like, that is made to confuse you. and you're listening to this song and it's a metal song and you're fine, but like this Discord, so like who would be if you were like, if I could have 10 minutes of lessons from this bassist, who would that be?
It's also probably because it's from my favorite band. But Chris Wolfen, I gotta say it right. Chris Wolfensohn Home, I think, from Muse.
Muse?
I think what's
Like Muse, Muse?
Yeah.
That's an astounding answer. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, he's in his chops are just like there's players who play faster, but it's the same thing with like guitar players and drummers. Like, okay, you can play faster, but like his note selection, his tones, like like I was always like a big pedal guy, like had a few overdrives, had like some, sub octave stuff, and that's where I picked up from him. And now there's like Royal, that was before Royal Blood existed. Like Royal Blood's freaking awesome. But he was before that. And I mean, I know everyone talks about Tim Comerford from Rage. He's also like one of my heroes, but like Chris pushed it forward. Like his unique sounds, like he was just unique, like and he always played for the song. Like there's songs where he's ripping it. And there's songs where like, he's just playing a part that it just fills the void that needs to be filled.
And that's what we want out of a rhythm section, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to have rhythm forward. Tool, Primus, I mentioned Typo Negative before, they're rhythm forward, right? But and then you don't want somebody overpowering. So I can appreciate that answer. I was not expecting that answer. That's
Yeah, like Les Claypool, I don't even consider him a bassist. He's more of like a drummer. Like he's like the way he plays is so different. Like he's
bonky bonk, right? He's doing but then like he goes insane and he pulls out a cello.
Yeah,
he's like Mr. Kringle, and you're like, what? But I think that my friend and I always joked that like Primus is what happens when art students make music.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're
mushrooms and drugs. Drugs.
I am no judgment here. I love Primus, but that's exactly what they are. All right. So I want to mention Obsidian Ammonia tonight. We do have our code going. It is code unpaid. It does give you 15% off. I do want and encourage everybody to jump in on this big sale that they got going. I think by the time you hear this, it's going to be gone. But the Pumpkin Spice Lobotomy is out. The Golden Ticket Awards are out. You can win up to, I think it was like $1,500 or something stupid like that in Obsidian stuff. Or if you just want to take a hit of that Dim Mac Redux and tag me in a video, I'd love to see that, because man, I took a hit of that Fireball Whiskey one, which is also out again the other day, and I think my eyeball shriveled into the back of my head because I just got a little too close to the bottle. It's good stuff. It works. Use code unpaid.
All right. Well, Big Chris, we have this game we like to play, a little unpaid or underrated. Not the same as someone's game that's called overrated or underrated. This is something we've completely come up with that's original. So unpaid would be something you think is not so good, and underrated is pretty sweet. So if you want, we can go ahead and dive right in on that, and I can kick it off for us. Let's go with punctuality. What's your opinion, unpaid or underrated, on being punctual?
So
I hear you have a strong opinion on this, and I want to hear all about it.
I'm a math guy. Like I believe in numbers, and like I have a pretty nerdy job. Like even though like it's awesome, like I do a lot of marketing, but I do a lot of like just number things. So I see things from a numbers perspective. And if I mostly hate when I'm late. I hate it. Like I get sick to my stomach because I think, well, if I'm 5 minutes late and there's 6 people, well, that's not 5 minutes.
That's 30 minutes.
Well, it's 35 minutes because I'm late plus these 6 people. So I'm saying underrated. Like if people are, I appreciate it. And if you're going to be late, act like you're late. Like come in a rush. Don't come in with a Frappuccino sauntering in and like disrupting, or like, whatever you're late for, like act like you're late.
That's funny. I I know it's not my question to answer, but it's so funny to hear that because I don't care. I have an employee who's perpetually 5 to 6 minutes late every day. And I started giving him grief for it and it didn't change. And eventually I was like, you know what? You start at 106. Like you just start at 106. That is your life from now on. It's so funny that but when I'm late, I'm sending texts, I'm calling, I'm apologizing. I'll be there. There's traffic. I'm sorry. Like, but for him, I was just like, yeah, whatever. You're just late all the time.
That's exactly how I feel. Like I work for a marketing agency, and think of 2023 Mad Men, essentially. And there are some creatives here, and a lot of creatives aren't morning people. And like there was a guy, like I told him, I was like, dude, don't be here at 8. Don't be here at 9. Cause you look like the first 2 hours of his day, he looks like he's gonna die. Like he just looked like he looked sick. Like he looked like this is a hard thing for him. I'm like, just be here when you get here and just stay later. And you're like, guess what? His work was better, like his life was better, he was happier. I'm like, yeah. Don't just get your shit done. I don't care.
Yeah, and it's such a weird thing that I think goes back to, you know, the people that started the companies before us. It's like, sorry, I know that like you sold more than anybody else last month, and I know that like your metrics are really good, but you're 5 minutes late, and that's going to be a problem. Like it absolutely is not a problem. When you get here, you're productive, you put in your time, and you do the things I ask you to do. I am not going to start adjusting your schedule or your pay or anything like that over your 5 minutes, right? Because when you get here, you show up and you're good, right? But meanwhile, if I ask you to be 15 minutes early, you show up and you're miserable, you know, you're grumpy, you haven't had your coffee, all that shit, like then you're useless to me. I'd rather not even have you here. So that's that. I'm glad we're on the same stream on that one.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end of that because like in my position, like we all we all show up to the warehouse, we get our shit for the day, and we all get in one or two trucks and we all leave together. So if someone's 5 minutes late, that means we're getting to the job 5 minutes late. That means if we're stopped to get gas, we're going to be late to the job, or we have to speed to get there. So that person selfishly being 5 minutes late fucks everyone else's day up and puts us getting home later every day.
And I can see that. Like if you know, this me or this other person are the next step of coverage for somebody that's been working alone for an hour or two and they might need to use the bathroom, being late might matter. And that's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you being here doesn't affect the rest of us as long as your work gets done, that's a different conversation.
I get that. It's just a little more flexible area, but I don't have that kind of setup. Let's see. Number 2 of unpaid. Did you actually? You did. Do you actually give us an unpaid or underrated rating? Okay.
I'm trying to get my druthers first to the best of my ability.
Druthers it out.
So unpaid or underrated?
Oh, I did say underrated.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so we're good. We can move on then. Number 2, unpaid or underrated licorice of any flavor.
Ooh. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a Twizzler, like the red vines, black, unpaid. It's rubber. It's sweet rubber. You're eating good years.
Now, was that just an opinion you've always had, or did you choke on licorice as a child and it's just like instilled in you to like?
Did licorice attack your parents?
I don't know if it was a commercial or did something happen? No, like it's not like, where you get sick on Chinese food and you can't eat it for a long time. Like, no, so
it's not the flavor, it's the consistency for you.
Yeah, because I'll start to eat it and I'm like, oh, I like this, and then I'm like, 3 seconds go by and I'm like, I have to spit this out. Like this is.
I recently bought an entire bag of black licorice cigars. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but they're a soft licorice with the like red things on the bottom. My kids hate them. Kids hate them. But if I buy the little, they're called licorice buddies, and they're just like babies that taste like black licorice, they love those. So the flavor, they're all about, but that consistency of that soft licorice flavor Now, controversial opinion, Discord's going to come after me for this one. If it's not black licorice, it's not licorice. So the flavor of black licorice comes from a plant that's called licorice. Red licorice is artificially flavored wax.
It's kind of like maple syrup.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like I like we have real maple syrup in our house. We're sticklers on it. Like
my wife is too.
What's the ingredient? Maple syrup.
Yep.
A lot of kids like the fake stuff you get at McDonald's because it's sweeter. It's a different type of sweet.
Well, Aunt Jemima is maple syrup, but like it isn't.
It's trash.
Right?
Like it's
It's from concentrate.
Yeah. Not good.
I actually don't think that licorice opinion will be that controversial, but red licorice is flavored wax. It's trash. Black licorice is the only real licorice, and people that don't like it are wrong.
I don't think I've ever had black licorice. I think I've only ever had like Twizzlers and like Twizzler adjacent, like knockoff brand stuff. I don't know that I've ever.
Yeah, but even Twizzler's black licorice is still black licorice flavored wax, right? But it's still like, I'm not saying the word again. I'm going to run that word into the ground, and I'm going to end up getting called out for saying it so many times.
It's almost a vulgar word. Like it could be. It's so like
yeah,
licorice.
Just drink more Jaeger. More Jaeger, as you call it. Jaeger.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Murdering some Jaeger and then licorice.
Jaeger's also like being in a band. Like there was a good 10-year period where everyone like, oh, what are you gonna get the band for shots? Jaeger. It was before Fireball came out. And they get the band Jaeger, and you're like, well, I hate licorice, but I'm not like, if someone buys you take a shot, and you're like, God dang it. Like if I do a shot, it's usually just a shot of whiskey because I know what I'm getting into. Like you do a shot of Crown, like the trouble you're getting into.
No, I'll drink Jaeger all day, like all day, every day.
No,
it is the greatest flavor. I have been on pressure. I've been pressuring the social media team at Jaeger Canada, and essentially told them I'm going to make my own Jaeger lifting shirt, and they didn't argue. So look out on my social media soon for a Jaeger lifting team.
Nice. All right, Big Chris. My last one here. I'm going to wrap.
Oh, we're still doing this.
Yeah. Like we're the worst at like. It's so much fun though. Like because a lot of these could have been good questions that we could have had a lot of banter with. So we kind of like we got to pull those threads when they're there. So my last one for a little unpaid or underrated, the game that we created all by ourselves is bumper stickers. What is your opinion on bumper stickers? Unpaid or underrated?
I mean, you could use them not just for your car. So, like your kayak, like we have kayaks. You can use them on anything. Like
kayak's got a bumper.
Yeah, like I've got I don't have my emotional support water bottle, but like you can cover things with bumper stickers. So underrated. Like they're good for everything.
So what is the threshold of bumper stickers until you look like an insane person?
I know. Is there a number? I love the idea of like an
or is it a coverage? Like, is it like a like?
Oh, because you have a bigger.
Yeah,
it's like is it a ratio of square footage to vehicle, or is it as soon as you is like 10 too many? Because if you have a big vehicle, you could have a lot of bumper stickers.
Yeah.
If it was like a van. I mean, once you reach I don't know. Yeah, once you reach a dozen, you look kind of crazy. And the plate, but really, if you had 2 on your windshield, you're insane. Like the placement matters. Like if you had 2 on your windshield, you're
okay. Like on your back windshield.
No, I'm talking. If you put 2 on your front windshield, you're nuts. Like
that's got to be against the law. That has to be against the law.
I know, but people do crazy stuff. Like this is just me complaining about I love South Dakota, but people park on the wrong side of the road here all the time. Like they park against traffic. You see it all the time. And I'm like in a residential area, and it drives these are uptown problems, but like what's wrong with you? Like you can't do that.
I have I don't have any bumper stickers because my wife is adamantly against them. But I have 3 stickers, and they're all vinyl window stickers. So I have 3 on my window. So I guess I count as insane. One is Black Label Society. The other one is McKinnon Brewery. And the other one is Lift Evil SMDFDB. Which, if you guys know Frank, means suck my dick from the back. So up here in Canada, there's a big political movement where everybody's putting their political opinions all over their cars and they're running around honking and screaming and all that. And then I was like, well, I want everybody to know how I feel about it. So I put the SMDFTV up there because I'm politically neutral on that one. I have had people full on pull over, roll down their window and go, does that mean what I think it means? I had some lady the other day dying laughing at me. Awesome. So she must have Googled it. Like she was in the passenger seat. She was dying as she drove by. She must have Googled it. But
you made someone's day. Like they could be entertaining. Like when you see someone with I don't know, there's in the office I work at, there's a lawyer and I found out she has all of these Bigfoot stickers.
That's great.
They just, yeah, it's she's weird. That's cool. Being weird is cool.
Yeah. I had the guy, it was in the middle of the city too. He pulled over. I said, roll down your window. And I rolled down my window. He says, does that mean suck my dick, fucking douchebag? And I was like, yeah, kinda. And then he goes, I told him what it really means. And he goes, that's great. I told my wife about this.
Nice.
So
love it.
I don't know. Bumper stickers are kind of a sign. And when you see somebody and they got 30 of them, right? And it's pick something. Pick just one thing that you feel that strongly about. But when they've got 30 of them, whether I align with you or not, you look crazy. You look like there's a ratio where if you got a hatchback and you've got enough bumper stickers that some of them are peeling off and fading, maybe calm down a bit.
Yeah. I only have a few on my car, but I have them elsewhere, on every book, things like that.
Everything's a bumper if you're not a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have 4 on my car. I don't have any on my bumper per se, but I got a lift decal on a rear side window. I have a West Virginia emblem on the other side window, and then I think a garage gym experiment, and then no wine cellar. So yeah, I think those are the 4 I have on my car, but I don't even.
No wine cellar.
Never heard of it.
I might name my gym that.
Somebody wanted some asshole was like, yeah, I can't remember talking about that.
It was Aaron.
Last time.
It was Aaron.
He was like, I'm going to name my gym that or something.
That's really funny.
I was like, no, you won't, but you can buy a shirt if you want.
Chris, do you have a home gym or are you a commercial gym?
I mix. I do 2 days at home and then 2 days at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I like the mix. And right now I'm getting ready for my first ever strongman. I'm just doing it for fun.
Hell yeah.
So one day I go to my work has a membership to a commercial gym or commercial gym, but then I go to one that has strongman stuff. So I'm figuring, actually the best part about the crew is everyone's been messaging me, giving me tips oh, do a keg press like this. Cause I have no idea what I'm doing. You're just watching YouTube videos and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I talked to Scott Dodds, talked to Dodzilla. You ever seen his kegs throwing stuff?
No, I don't think, or maybe I got a bunch of videos saved. I have playlists saved, just saved. I'm just watching people oh.
So most people would deadlift a keg, put it in their lap and then press it. And Dodzilla throws it up to his chest, catches it and then presses it. I talked about that last week. Yeah, that's the dude you want to talk to about how to do that stuff. So what do you call your home gym? Is it a dungeon, a pit, or what?
I call it the bar. And it's because we have a home bar next, in our basement too. So
nice.
It's the bar.
That's the dream.
The bar.
When I officially do my basement, that's the dream. Put the bar next to the bar.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's my turn.
Yes, sir. Have at it.
All right. Unpaid or underrated Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
Oh, so the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally happens. I've gone to every rally since 2003, and it started out with it's in the Black Hills, and started out with some bikers from World War II, post World War II, who were a little a little crazy, and they started just meeting up once a year. And now it's officially 10 days a year. It's the first full week of August every year. And our state's population doubles in that time period. The entire state's population doubles, and it's insane how many people are there. And there's a lot of good, like there's a lot of free and or affordable live music. So absolutely underrated. Like, it's great people watching. It's actually, in this day and age, really safe. Like, people worry like, oh, there's Hell's Angels there. I'm like, yeah, there's Sons of Silence and stuff like that. But like, if you're on like the main streets, if you're not going down like some weird campground with like some stranger, and that could be anywhere, like, yeah, you could be in danger. But like, we saw Limp Bizkit this year. That was, I'm a Fred Durst. I was a Fred Durst hater and Limp Bizkit fan. Like, I loved their sound, like those heavy guitars and like cool rhythm section, but I really didn't like Fred Durst. But we saw them at the Buffalo Chip, and that's like one of my top 5 best concerts I've ever been to. Like, he just fronted the band well. He actually like did his white boy rap and singing really well. Like, it was a great show. But like, it's kind of like the way Nashville is, where there's every bar has a band all night, like starting at noon till 2 a.m. Like, it's a good time.
Did Limp Bizkit basically play like their greatest hits from like the late 90s, early 2000s, or were they just trying to pump out some new shit?
It was all the stuff I knew. Like, it was all,
gotcha. Nice.
I mean, I knew every single, that was also probably part of it. Like, the nostalgia. I was like, I'm in high school.
Yeah, that would be a cool concert.
Yeah, I hate Limp Bizkit. But you know every word.
But I recognize 11 of these songs. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew every single word. Like, you're just like, oh my God, like, this is incredible. Yeah.
For the record, their new album's pretty good.
I haven't heard it yet. They weren't even selling merch. Like, they must have just flown in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Limp Bizkit Still Sucks. It's actually a great album. It has its ups and downs. Yep.
And they're all original members. Like, they're all like, when they performed, like, I was like, oh, there's Wes Borland. Like,
he left for a while, right?
Yeah.
Those kind of a big thing.
There was 2 albums he wasn't on, and one of them had that song Eat You Alive, and Eat You Alive was a pretty decent song, but only from like a metal perspective. But yeah, he came back for this album at least.
Yeah, they were awesome.
All right. Unpaid or underrated? Krav Maga.
You're talking the martial arts.
Yeah, when you talked about what is essentially modern day MMA earlier, I was like, well, now I want to hear what he thinks about Krav Maga, because Krav Maga is, well, it is. It's dirty. It's fighting. It is modern day MMA. So I just wondering if you had an opinion on it.
I have only a mild opinion on it, but it's kind of how I feel about like, if you go into a bar and you see someone have cauliflower ear, you go, don't fight that guy. Or if they have they obviously broke their nose a few times, don't fight that guy. If I find out someone's, into Krav Maga, I'm not going to, we're not going to roll. I'm going to get my ass beat. Cause they're going to do stuff. It's like what I was talking about our lead singer. Like, you're going to do stuff so you don't, it's not so you win, it's so you will not lose. Like, they're going to punch you in the throat or something. Like, it's not going to be like a roadhouse fight where you both punch each other, you shake hands and go home like cowboys. Like, no, this isn't going to be fun.
So was that unpaid or underrated?
I think it's underrated because it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I once read a book called How to Be Batman, and it was written by a martial artist and kinesiologist from here in Hamilton, Ontario. And he said, if you were going to be Batman, first, you're not going to be muscular. You're not going to be fast enough or strong enough if you look like that. And he says, second of all, you're going to take Krav Maga. That's going to be the fighting style that Batman has always and will always use. Yeah. And I thought I'd throw that in there when you mentioned earlier modern day MMA, because I've seen Krav Maga. I've been thinking of taking it. But it's dangerous shit. Like, that's
like jujitsu on steroids is what it reminds me. It's like
except I'm not using your arm to flip you. I'm using your penis. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like everything's made to harm you. Like, it's not
disable. It is not. Yeah. It is not a fight. It is you're going to disable your opponent.
Yeah, like it's like war. It's like war fighting. It's not. It's not police fighting. It's war fighting.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Right. I think this is going to be the last one. Unpaid or underrated. And this has come up before. Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Ooh. So I'm a Star Wars fan.
I heard.
We heard.
But I'm not hard. I don't feel like I'm hardcore. I'm just into the movies. Like I don't read it. Like I love the original 3, and honestly, only a select few of the new stuff I've loved. Like Rogue One, I liked a lot. Actually, the first new one. I think. God, this is a hard one.
Yes,
because I actually I like him. I like him, and I like his character.
I've said before that he's probably one of the most powerful Jedis we've ever seen in a movie.
I agree. Like he's one of the most powerful.
But then he's such a whiny bitch.
Like my issue is like my issue with him is probably based around the movies he came about. Like even like if you said like the first 3 movies, Luke loved him, and I'm talking 4, 5, 6. We're gonna get nerdy.
Yeah,
like loved him.
Do it all the way in.
Loved him. But then in the later movies, he's acting like you said, a bitch. Like he's acting in a way that Luke would not act. Luke was brave. Luke was like, I didn't like the way he was written. Like he force projects himself, and that's how he ends up dying. Like that was a lame way to die. Like that is a shitty way to die. It's like your ghost goes out and kills you. Like why can't you just do it yourself? I'm gonna say unpaid. Just I really like him, and I think he's a great character. I felt like actually I would have liked it if he would have like in the ending movies. I think they just could have written him better. I just think like and it's not even his character, it's the scenes he's in and the way he's used. He should have been like even more menacing. If he was even more the way he really was, like at the beginning, and like even less conflict. Like what was the first one? The first new one. Number 6. No, 4, 5, 6, 7. What was that one called? When he kills or no, was it 7 or 8? When he kills Han.
It's the second movie he's in, or it's the end of the first when he kills Han.
When he kills Han.
Or hold on.
That was awesome though. That was like
or does Han kill himself?
Oh, that's because he knew what he was going into. He definitely put himself into danger.
Did he activate the lightsaber because he knew it would save his son?
I've not heard this.
Because they don't show it.
Yeah.
You just see the lightsaber go through Han Solo, and the theory is that he knew that by sacrificing himself, he would save Kylo Ren, or he would save his son, because his son says, I don't know if I can do what I have to do. And Han says, then don't, and pulls the trigger, because that would bring him back to the light side, because there's only 3 Jedis on the planet that have ever gone dark to light.
I like it.
Anakin, Luke, and Kylo. So that is the theory there. Obviously, there's no way to prove it, and nobody's ever going to prove it. But there is that theory that Han sacrifices himself to save his son.
I like the fan theories. Like, I like how you can get weird. Like, you can get deep and.
But isn't that weird? Watch the movie again.
No, I will now.
That is.
I gotta show my kids it for the first time. Like, we went through all the movies, and that was cool. Nice. That was fun.
I just always harken back to one hand holding the laser, the other hand choking a person. And he slowed everything down around him. And nobody had ever done anything that force intensive in any movie. And you're watching it just like, yeah, that's really cool. But when you think back on it, you're just like, what? like Yoda lifted a plane, great. But he did all of that.
Yeah. Just badass.
He was a fucking badass, but then he turned into a bit of a bitch.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't like his character development. That might be like what it
Yeah,
turned out to be.
yeah, I agree.
So as a big Rogue One fan, I'm assuming you watched all the Disney spinoffs or like the new Disney Star Wars stuff because there's the one that like
No,
takes there's the prequel to Rogue One that I
And
think I
I
got.
haven't watched Ashoka yet. I have not watched
no, I
Ahsoka.
haven't either.
I'm like 2 episodes. I've watched like the first 3 or 4. I don't have any familiarity with her character whatsoever, so it's like it's borderline useless to me.
I will financially and audibly support Rosario Dawson until the day I die. That is why I am watching Ahsoka.
Mhm. But if Rogue One is your favorite, definitely, even if you have to get Disney for like a free trial or something, watch the one that was the prequel. I don't know why I can't think of the damn name of it, but it was my favorite one out of all the
That wasn't
like
Solo, was it?
no this was it was like a mini series on you know
I know that.
Disney
Actually,
Plus.
I haven't even watched that one.
I can't think of the damn name of it though, but
I
it's got like
haven't even watched that.
so like the main male character from Rogue One. It was like he was the main
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
character
yeah,
in
yeah.
the show. What the fuck is the name of it?
that would be
I
cool.
but it's a really I enjoyed that one the most. I think out of all the
Really, because
ones.
that's the one everybody says is the worst.
I thought
I haven't watched
I thought the
that.
Bounty Hunter was the worst one, and it was still okay.
You thought Wit? I'm sorry, fucking what?
It was still good, but out of like rank. Actually, no, the
Which one, Mandalorian or Boba Fett?
Boba Fett, Mandalorian,
Oh,
I liked. Boba Fett was okay.
you are making enemies right now, my friend.
Mhm. Also
Hot
didn't.
takes.
I can't think of anyone's names, but the more recent one, what was it was like
Kenobi?
yeah, I didn't like Kenobi so much either. Like that one was iffy. I don't know. I've watched them all, but
There's too much good TV. Like there's too much like
You didn't like Kenobi.
versus why can't I think of the name that the Rogue One is called?
You
Oh, that's
you didn't like Darth
I
Vader being the most badass he's ever been.
I don't know. I don't. I guess I.
Oh, you're gonna yawn when you're talking about this?
Dude, I'm so
like that was the
tired.
best part of Rogue One. Like the ending, like that was so like that's what we've always wanted.
I'll consume all the media.
Darth Vader at the end of Kenobi pulling down a whole ass ship
Yeah,
with his bare hands.
it was just
The
weird seeing
Force.
him actually get like his reins kind of released. So it was like we were seeing like the side of Darth Vader we knew we would that he actually was. So I don't know, it was
He was always scary a little bit because of his potential. And this showed you his hatred and his rage and his full, like what he could do when he wanted to. And you're telling me
I'm just out
that
of
the
the other.
casino one was better? Chris, deal with my man. I can't.
I don't know. It's you're allowed to have an opinion, but I don't know.
I know, but we have to have like pretend really hard line stances on these things that don't matter.
Andor was the one that I
Andor, that's it.
I think the movies I have like the movies I have harder takes on. Like I have way harder opinions on like I don't think Ray should have lived like at the end of the movies. That would have been a great message. Like I think my biggest issues with the movies are like they didn't like it's like they didn't think about the way they were writing them and like what the message is. Like if she would have sacrificed herself, like that would have been cool. Like if she would have like died for something, but it's like, oh well, it's now a Disney ending. The bad guy died.
The princess wins. Yeah.
The princess wins. It's like the new Disney ending. And it's like, well, you know, like my favorite endings are when the good guy loses. Like Rocky won, he loses, but because he loses, like even though he was in the fight, that made him win. Like those are the type of stories I want to see. Like make it hard and dramatic.
I agree to an extent. I will never tell you that Andor was better than anything. Oh, Keith, I love you.
You haven't seen it yet. How can you have an opinion?
Was that your third?
No, yeah, we're done unpaid and underrated. And you're right. I haven't watched Andor yet because I couldn't. I tried watching the first episode and it was so fucking boring. I bailed. So, but that's again, I'm sure the Discord will have a lot more issues with this than we do.
Yeah.
But now it's time, I think, for Chris to reverse this situation. And Big Chris, what do you got for us?
So we're talking about hot takes. I thought I would start with my biggest hot take of the show. I want you guys to say something. I'm going to try to get you. You each have to say this. So in Africa, there are buffaloes. Here in North Dakota and South Dakota in the Midwest, we have what? What's the animal?
Bison.
Keith.
It's bison.
The bison, I die every time you say bison. It kills me. Bison. I had to get used to say it. I had to have like a reason
bison.
to like
That's bison.
Bison.
It's bison.
So it's like a hard Z, and I'm saying it with like an S kind of.
I say with an S.
Yeah, you're saying phonetically. I'm saying because it's just fucking how I read it. It's bison. Like
I hear that's like a northern thing. I think like
probably.
I love it though. I was like, why has no one talked about that?
Actually, so I have been called out for it in the Discord. It might even been by you. If I don't
That's
remember who said it.
I did not.
But somebody did say I say it weird. But like I don't know.
No,
who's got the time to pronounce letters?
It's great.
You pronounce extra letters in your name with your Canadian alphabet.
No, I don't. We put them in.
Say
What do you mean?
Well, because you because Z is ZED, right? Wasn't that the whole thing?
Z. Yeah, we say Z.
Yeah. So
it's still one syllable, ZZ.
That's like it's so much more work. If you didn't, if you just
it isn't. Your tongue just goes to the top of your mouth, and you say Z instead of Z. Like it.
There's like weeks of your life wasted by saying Z.
My life by saying Z.
Yeah. Wouldn't you like that time back?
I'll quit smoking now and get it back. Yeah.
What else you got, Chris?
All right, I have another language one, but this is just from your past guests. I've heard because you get a lot of people from the Midwest, and I hear people say this all the time. Like I'm originally from Colorado, live in South Dakota. And I want you to tell me what each of these two things mean. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, no is confrontational. Yeah, no is confrontational. Like if you're in line and somebody steps in front of you, you're going to go, yeah, no, that's not how we're doing this today, bud. And no, yeah is when you agree with somebody, where somebody's like, yo, did you watch this the other day? You go, oh, no, yeah, I watched that. Yeah. No, yeah, I watched that. Yeah. That's how I would see those.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that today. Yeah, no, we're not doing that today is probably like the first sentence in a Canadian fight. Yeah, no, we're not doing that today.
I hear it all the time. Like it's so common. I agree with you though. I think that is correct. But sometimes it can be at the front of a sentence, and sometimes I hear it on the back.
You hear yeah, no at the back or no, yeah?
I've heard yeah, no at the back. Like, or it'll be like almost, but then they're usually picking up another sentence.
That wouldn't be confrontational if it's at the back of a, because a yeah, no is like that's the equivalent of snapping in somebody's face and saying, look at me.
Ooh.
So if you put it at the back of a sentence, I don't even know what that would be. Or is that just,
obnoxious?
Like, would that just be, because I do, is also like when you're explaining something, but you think the person doesn't care. So you add a, at the end.
Yeah. Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Right? Like I'm doing it right now. Like sometimes you talk about things that nobody gives a shit about,
No, yeah.
All right. Do you guys listen to the sister podcast while you train? If not, then what?
No, not a chance.
No, I'm not Big Jin.
How does Jin do that? I don't
know.
I don't listen to our podcast and listen to that. I would probably train in complete silence and in the dark if my brain would let me. But
I don't think I could do that.
What I'll do is put on Sirius XM. Right now, the big one is Rock Bar. which can be anything from heavy metal to country, and it's just on in the fucking background. Because I don't want to laugh during a lift.
Like even a slight snort is like unacceptable. Like the snort laugh is unacceptable.
Yeah, sorry, there's 300 pounds on my shoulders, and Tommy just says something so fucking outlandish, and I just snort laugh, and now my entire squat session is ruined. Like, I can't have that.
Yeah. You know?
You know, you know.
Well, like in our band, we had a rule: you can't say funny shit if we're all moving something. Like we had to move something on. Like you can't.
Pivot.
Like, it's like a rule. Like that was a rule. Can't say funny.
Stop being funny.
Yeah, like someone's gonna get hurt.
A friend of mine actually, his brother's in a pretty big metal band, and I for some reason saw them on YouTube the other day, and it just reminded right now. I just fucking died just listening to this guy. So I messaged him and I was like, "You and your brother have the same sense of humor, and I can't imagine doing that. Like just somebody that funny while you're trying to haul like amps or like I can imagine that."
All right. One more training question, because I like to know this about people.
Training. Sets and reps talk, Chris.
But it's also not. How do you log your training? Like what do you do? Like how do you physically keep track of your, like, is it a spreadsheet? Is it a
So I have worked with a coach and he assigns all my training through the True Coach app. So everything's in that. But the True Coach app kind of sucks as far as like being able to look at history. Like if he names something literally like one letter different, like if something's plural or not plural, like you can't find it under like the search history. So I use that just to get my workout, but then I will 9 times out of 10, I have a paper log that I'll still write shit down with because I notice if I don't have that to like keep track of my sets and reps, like I'm just not as into it mentally sometimes. So I've got like 6-7 years worth of like, the same training log I bought off Amazon basically every year. And I just keep, starting a new one at the beginning of the calendar year. So a little bit digital and a little bit paper.
Oh, I just use Juggernaut and I have zero attachment to nostalgia or what I've done in the past. And so I just use Juggernaut. And when I stop using Juggernaut, I'll keep using whatever I use after that. But Juggernaut, you can go and check out all your past stuff and you can create workouts. You can create types of lifts based on what they focus, and it'll put them in if you need them to or want them to. So yeah, I'm just using Juggernaut right now.
With that said, I do have a spreadsheet that I track all my rep PRs. So from single to like sets of 15 for like literally 30 different like lifts and every variation: high bar, low bar, duffel low, high, duffel low, low, SSB, close grip, bench, pause grip, literally like every variation of like the main three. Because to me, they're all different. Like even if it's a 10-pound difference, it's still enough I basically like I get off on getting like 5-pound, 2.5-pound PRs, like on like my set of 7. Like if you're not always going to hit a PR in your single, so knowing that you hit a PR in your set of 5 for a paused bench, like I just did that this week. I hit like 235 for a set of 5 pulls. That was like 5 pounds more than I'd ever done for a set of 5 pulls. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you have to like find reasons to celebrate anything in powerlifting.
Absolutely.
I feel like the older you get, you need like, yeah, like I hit a triple on a deadlift, like, today. That was the best I've ever done. I'm like, oh, things are maybe going better. Like, but it's also not a single. Like,
yeah. This week I was just excited to squat, or actually last week I was excited to squat without pain. And then this week, like I said, going into a deload, I can't squat shit. The empty bar hurts. But I mean, it's just once you do, so I think I've said it before. I have bruised my hip flexor. Mm-hmm. So where the joint and the flexor meet is mostly scar tissue right now. So everything I'm doing right now is just trying to make that hurt a little less. And yeah, so I was able to squat pretty decent weight, 4 reps last week, and I'm paying for it this week.
Yeah.
But Juggernaut does not give a shit. Jugger's not like, no, do 6 reps. And I'm like, no, like I can barely do 3, but Juggernaut doesn't care. Juggernaut cares not.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, I had an appendectomy. I actually missed the last show of Judd Hoos because I actually went. I should have had the appendectomy on Christmas Day. Like my stomach was really bothering me. At first, I thought I had like indigestion, and then that night, like it was like, oh, it's on your whatever it is, your right side, I think, and had an appendectomy. Long story. And the next day, and when I first started training, I went to go pick up the bar, and I was like, "This is too heavy," and that was really depressed. Like,
Yeah.
I get like recovery is hard. Like, it's depressing. You're like, I was doing deadlifts with dumbbells with like
Yep.
210. Like, this is depressing.
Yep. Today I think I even posted on Instagram. I went downstairs and I just got over a sinus infection, and then my kid waltzed in the room and was like, "Guess what? I've got another one."
Oh, great!
And I'm not going to school this week. And so I went down, and like I said, it's a deload, but like, nope. Just when your breathing sounds like crumbling paper, it's probably not time to lift heavy.
Probably not. All right. Couple more.
But keep going.
What is your favorite Tom Hanks movie? And why is it Forrest Gump?
Mine would
doesn't
not
have to be.
Yeah, mine would not be Forrest Gump, but that would be a very, very close second. Oh man, Green Mile. I think I said like last time, like you watch that and you don't cry, you're a liar. Like you're a lying man. But Polar Express is up there, man. Polar Express was a good one, and my kid liked it, and my father-in-law loves it, and it would be a hard fight between Forrest Gump, Green Mile, and Polar Express. And then all of that goes out the window because he played Mr. Rogers.
Oh, that was great.
Yep. Cried like a baby. Not going to lie.
That was a great movie.
I've said it before on this podcast, and I'll say it a million times again. Mr. Rogers is one of the few people that comes into our lives as humans, comes into the public sector, and is just the closest thing to what I would see as a saint. Just perfect. And Tom Hanks did him justice in that movie for sure. And the movie wasn't even about him. The movie was about the reporter interviewing him.
I know. It was such a clever way.
Which Mr. Rogers would do.
Yep.
I would not make a movie about myself. Let's make a movie about you talking to me.
I guess I think I might go Saving Private Ryan. Like that was like I was trying to like scour through like his like Tom Hanks top movies. There's so many good ones, but yeah, Saving Private Ryan it's hard to beat. And Forrest Gump's up there too. Have you read Forrest Gump the book? The one and two, or one or two?
I have not.
So the first one's like decent. It gets really weird, like the feats that he did and like the historical things that he intervened on. Like it's a lot different. I can't remember if it's the second one. I think he went to outer space in one of them too, which was like even like jumped the shark even farther than what the movie did. But he was
that's just Apollo 13. Like that's another Hanks movie. Yeah. Yep. But we are all on board that Jenny is the greatest villain of the century.
Oh no, wait. We're gonna talk about this because I almost asked you that question: is who's the villain in Forrest Gump?
It's Jenny.
For sure.
It's not.
What?
It's her dad.
Well, yeah.
Her dad like abused her.
He literally fucking like raped her as a child, I believe. So that's not gonna set her.
Okay, hold on. No, that's a literary tool called bridging. He is not the villain. He creates the villain.
Yeah. What about here's the person who I think is the real monster. There's a special needs man sitting on a bus next to you, and he says, "Those look like really nice shoes." And you respond with, "My feet hurt." That lady's a monster in Forrest Gump. When she goes, "My feet hurt," like that's so rude. Like this guy's obviously special needs, and you just say, "My feet hurt."
But Jenny like leads him on for years. just completely ignores him, only sleeps with him when it's convenient for herself. I think she's
then uses him.
Yep. And then somehow just
dies,
gives him AIDS and dies of AIDS. And like, there's a strong argument she is a very good villain, but like in that weird way where you don't think she's a villain.
Not quite a Kylo Ren, but up there.
Yep. Yeah.
Definitely not a love story.
As much as they wanted us to think it is, but like the people that like read books.
As a 10-year-old, we might have all thought it was a love story when we watched it the first time, but then as like an adult going like, she was pretty shitty of a human.
Yeah, fuck her. Like
she would be like someone's like the worst female experience in like most adults' life if that was like if they had to compare like her to like whoever else they ended up with.
Fuck you, Jenny.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got for us?
All right. One more question. So I don't have a podcast. You guys have a podcast.
We all have a podcast.
What's the best part about having this podcast?
That's a good question.
It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Like it's so much fun. Like it's equal work and fun, but the benefits, I don't know, just like knowing I really enjoy that at least one of the hosts listens to it like every Tuesday. I don't know how many episodes Tommy's consumed, but I know Tanner listens regularly. So like that's pretty cool to know that like we're in their heads. I don't know. I enjoy I don't know, it's just fun. Like the recording aspect, like this is fun. Like listening back is okay, but like the actual recording, like the banter we get, and like we're gonna have 2.5 hours of talking to you. So when I see you next year, there's gonna be like I'm not gonna be like, wait, who is this guy again? Like I literally had 2.5 hours of fucking talking to you face to face. And I have that with like 20 other people so far.
We're breaching on 3.
Yeah, I know. I gotta go to bed soon.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. I'll definitely throw something out there just for this. And I almost every Thursday tell myself I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be upfront with everybody listening right now. Almost every Thursday I tell myself I can't keep going. I'm so tired. I have so much shit to do. I have my work conference call in the morning, which if I'm again upfront and honest, ruins my day. I hate my work conference calls on Thursday mornings. But because I know I'm doing that in the morning, I know I'm free Thursday night. And today, and even today in particular, I was like, I'm so tired. I can't. But then I get on and I remember that I love, not enjoy, love what we have done. Massonomics put together their brand. Massonomics put together their clothing. Massonomics put together their Discord. And Keith and I went about and said, we love everybody in this Discord so much that we're going to make sure that everybody else loves them too. And we are going to interview them and we're going to have fun with them and we're going to go be silly with them. And we're going to just record this silly little podcast and mirror what they did, but we're going to do that with each other. And I'm regenerated. I'm refreshed. Every time I log in, tired, hungover, exhausted, whatever I am on that day, I log into this Zoom call and go, oh, yeah, that's why. And it's because just like we found our people. We found specifically the 3 of us right now could have completely different political, religious, ideological, all of that different. And we said, all without saying it, and I'm going to be the first to say it, we're not talking about it. We're not bringing it up. We're not dealing with it. Right now, we are weightlifters who just want to make each other laugh. And that is what I love about having this podcast in particular, is that is what this is meant to accomplish. That is what this is meant to do. And when it stops doing it, I'll stop doing it. I don't care how tired I get every day. As long as it continues to do that, I will be here.
I feel like we're about to go into unpaid and overrated right now. Like play the game. It's almost that.
It's weird that you asked that question on this exact day, because my wife even looked at me today and she's like, are you even having fun anymore? And I was like, I'll let you know at the end of this recording.
Yeah, like that stuff. That's
of
real.
Course I am. Of course I am. I'm still having fun every time I log on, but also like I'm so tired. I'm so tired all the time. The kids are sick. I'm sick. I've been sick for weeks, but like this is the reason we do it.
Are you sure you didn't sleep with Jenny? Because you think you have something.
Yeah, Jenny.
The secret is you're always tired.
Yeah,
yep, the secret is I'm always tired. Yeah. Actually, my kid just woke up and is screaming in the background right now.
Yeah, I agree with everything Joey said. And like, yeah, this is a lot of work, man. I invest at least 3 hours a week building the show notes and talking with people and emailing because I couldn't just DM your brother and your fucking bandmate because they don't know how to use Instagram. So then I know
apparently not.
Then I had to copy and paste everything into email, and then it didn't work because it was all like I had to like go through and individually like type out the emails and shit. It was, I guess, just a lot of work just getting back and forth to people, but like this 2.5, 3 hours, and like it's just fun. Like the moment this is not fun or there's any political and religion talk, I resign. So yeah, I agree with everything.
I saw that earlier today. I agree.
And I agree with it. I don't give a flying fuck about anyone's religious or political opinions whatsoever. And like I hope you don't mine either. So
yeah,
this is not why we're here.
That's not why we're here.
No.
So why haven't you listened to every episode until you became a guest? Like,
no, I've listened to every one of your episodes.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool.
Because the Massonomics, I think the catalog. I mean, the catalog isn't like it's so deep. Like,
cool.
I barely keep up with like the show as it is because, like, I'll listen to it. Like, my drive to work is only 10 minutes, so that's 10 minutes of like I wish I could lift. Like, I totally get it. I could not listen to the podcast and lift. Like, I wish I could, cannot. Like that's an impossibility.
I can cardio and podcast and book tape because like I consume a shit ton of media on like my daily walks. But yeah, even warming up, I wouldn't like. There's sometimes like if I'm in the middle of a podcast and like it's just my stretching or my like my whatever, like I'll listen to like 5 minutes of the podcast. But as soon as my hands touch a barbell or there's even any intent to touch a barbell, it's got to be fucking like blaring loud like metal music. So
and just to wrap this up, because honestly we are getting into 3 hours right now,
exponentially longer.
Exponentially longer. That's a good point. I don't listen to the back.
I don't think we use that word right.
I don't listen to the back catalog, and it's not because I don't want to. It is a time crunch most of the time, but it's also just like, do I want to listen to the Judd Hoos without Chris Hornick? Do I want to listen to Slipknot before Joey Jordison left? Like, do I like every band has its era? Well, I think Massonomics' era of episode, I think 225 and on is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And from what you guys have told me, it's probably great. And I'll probably learn more about the lore and all of that stuff. But I think I want to know them from then on. I want to know what they are now, which is the thing that attracted me to them.
You just want to like the things you like, not like figure out why it became the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, I appreciate that. And those are really good questions for us.
They were.
Yeah, you caught me on. You got me to go serious. You got me a little serious, which is sneaky, very sneaky.
And I do appreciate that you said you've listened to all of our episodes. I feel like we've had some guests on that just kind of like had to like rush listen to a couple of them towards the end. So like our goal was to get like with all the scheduling I've done the last couple of months, my goal has been like if you're at the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic, you like shoot it to the top of the list. If you actively interact with us on Discord or Instagram, you're at the top of the list. Like if you never say anything on Instagram or Discord and you want to Lift Hard Live Easy Classic, like you might not be on the podcast, and you might not be, it'll be a long time till like I even know you'll be on the podcast someday.
Yeah, you'll probably be on, but I'm not. If you, I said earlier, I like when they get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I pull you in and you've never even listened to an episode of us,
exactly,
you're going to be one of those hard Massonomics people to get anything out of. It's not going to be fun to listen to. It's not going to be fun to watch. It's not going to be fun to be on, because we're going to have to like do the work for you. Whereas people like yourself, Chris, and people like, people we've had in the past that get it.
Yeah.
They know why they're here.
Absolutely.
a slight workaround I've been doing on that recently is I'm trying to start scheduling 2 weeks out. So like the person that's going to be the guest has 14 days to essentially like listen to at
Listen
least
to
a
every
handful of our
episode. Yep.
episodes, you know?
Yep.
I think most part everyone's listened to, some of us.
Well, I did see your spreadsheet, and I think you have some great people coming up. But I think Big Matt coming on is honestly the thing I'm really looking forward to.
Can't wait.
I did see that on the spreadsheet, and Big Matt, like, man, like, we're ready for you, man. Just don't stiff us again. Like, next time I call you, you better answer. I think I'm gonna wrap this up because we are going on to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, Nate's gonna kill us. I'm Big Joey. Find me on Instagram, unpaidinternpodcast.com. Guys, feel free to see us out on this one.
Yeah, Big Keith Honey Get 73. Go follow my gym, the No Wine Cellar, my orange gym, that is. Go follow our podcast. I already closed my Google Sheets because I can't think of our website. What is it? It's unpaidintern.com, correct?
And I already said it. That's my favorite part.
Oh, well, you said our Instagram.
No, I said unpaidinternpodcast.com.
Fuck. Well, then go follow our Instagram too, you bastard. So my wife's gonna kill me. It's fucking 11:30, man. I know that I've been keeping her up. So yeah.
Chris, where can we find you, buddy?
At Chris Hornick. Easy.
That's it. Just Instagram. You're not anywhere else.
I'm on other things, but I'm mostly on Instagram. Yeah.
That's the one we want.
Yeah.
To find you on. All right.
Everybody.
That's it. Use code unpaid. Use code unpaid. I'm also fucking exhausted. I'm about tapped out.
All right, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hopefully, just under 3 hour episode. Hopefully, Big Nate can just put like 2 minutes of dead air so we can actually breach 3 hours. But until then, we'll go ahead and see you next Tuesday.